Chapter 47. Looking at the silent guardians, Wuming thought to himself, "It seems that I can only kill Zaisha. I'm very sorry, Wuming, Sama. We can't solve the problem for you. It's a crime worthy of death." Demiurgos said in a serious tone. "Don't say that, Demiurgos. I'm too harsh. After all, that's the effect of a world-class item, and it's not so easy to remove." Wuming shook his head. "First, I want to give you the world-class item." Wuming's words were shocking, and the guardians immediately knelt down and bowed their heads. Demiurgos, you know the reason, right? Demiurgos still knelt on one knee and bowed his head. "Yes, Wuming-sama. Wuming-sama gave us the world-class item to prevent us from being affected by the enemy's world-class item." Wuming nodded. Demiurgos is still smart. With that, Wuming waved his hand. A sword, a cup, a large scroll, and a pair of gloves appeared in the air and fell to the hands of Cositas, Yuri, Mare, and Demiurgos. "Because Yair Bade already has the world-class item Infernal Abyss, I won't give you the world-class item this time." "Yes, Wuming-sama," Yair Bade said with a regretful look. "The names of these 4 items are Blade of Billions, Cup of Zaisha, Mountain River Map, and Avarice and Desireless. I will tell you how to use them and their effects after the meeting." "Thank you, Wuming-sama, for giving us these treasures. We will not hesitate to go through fire and water for you," several people said at the same time. "One more thing, I'm going to fight Zaisha alone." "How can that be, Wuming-sama? Please think twice, Wuming-sama." "Wuming-sama, silence," Wuming shouted. "We can't be sure if the other party will suddenly use a teleportation spell to teleport over. Moreover, we can't guarantee our chances of victory if you guys go. Most importantly, you're like newborn children. I am someone who has accepted your loyalty. How can I let you kill each other?" "Lord Wuming, since you've already made your decision, as your subordinates, we shouldn't say anything more. However, please promise us that you'll return safely," Yair Bade said. "I agree." In Wuming's bedroom, Wuming placed many props in front of him. "It feels like I'm raiding a dungeon. Seriously, how can someone like me, who has experienced many battles, be used to preparing for a one-on-one battle like a game?" As mentioned before, after Nasrik transformed into a physical body, he retained some of his digitized parts. For example, Nazarik's members could use magic to detect a target's HP and MP, and Yair Abed could also manage Nasrik through the system. Sure enough, it's more suitable for me to fight directly. Can I determine if there are any players on the other side? At the end of the meeting, Demiurgos proposed that after a series of anti-teleportation spells, anti-detection spells, and other spells were placed near Satya, Wuming would fight Satya one-on-one. In Wuming's view, whether it was NPCs or players in Yggdrasil, their abilities were not strong. At least in Wuming's view, no one in Nasrik could defeat him without using special skills or items. The only hidden danger now was that he didn't know if the other party had any special items or skills. I can only say that it's a game. After all, without these special items or skills, the game would become boring. I guess so. After all, I don't play games very much. Wuming picked up the 2 rings in front of him and put them on his left and right fingers. The names of these 2 rings were Meteor Ring and Eternal Calamity Serpent Ring. Eternal Calamity Serpent Ring was one of the 20 world-class items. Because he wanted to guard against the opponent's world-class item effect, and because it was convenient to carry, Wuming chose this world-class item. In Yggdrasil World Tree, the effect was to make a wish to the game company, and the effect could be extended to the whole game. Of course, whether the content of the wish could be approved was another matter. After transforming into a physical body, the effect of the ring became Make a Wish, a Real Wish. However, because of a special effect of disappearing and randomly appearing in a corner of the world after using it, Wuming didn't dare to use it casually. At most, he would only use it when he was in danger. Meteor Ring, on the other hand, could cast the super magic Wish to the stars unconditionally. The effect had 3 weakened versions of the wish skill, and there were many restrictions. After 3 wishes were made, there would be a long cooldown period. It could be said that it was an item that could determine the winner. After all, Wuming didn't have many ultimate skills. Other than Yggdrasil, and X-Silver, Meteor Silver, his noble phantasm, Wu Ming had no other skills that could be considered as his ultimate skill. Enkidu has been sleeping since he first came to this world. Most of the magic Wu Ming learned couldn't be used as ultimate skills. After all, the magic stored in the library was either magic books with a limited number of times or written materials that couldn't be learned. The skills Wu Ming learned, such as Dragon Thunder and Heavenly Fire, were useful against the natives, but they didn't have much effect on Zaisha, a level 100 NPC. Oh, my head hurts. Sure enough, I still haven't learned it well, Master. Wu Ming remembered his master, Ska, who could kill a god with just a magic spear and his own martial arts. Sure enough, I'm still too inexperienced. My bloodline ability is basically harmless. For example, Wu Ming's Origin Dragon bloodline ability, time travel adaptability, powerful physique, endless magic power, and transformation effect of Calamity Dragon. Suddenly, Wu Ming felt a message in his mind. Wu Ming put his hand on his temple. What's wrong, Ye obeyed. Master Wu Ming, some humans who look like adventurers are approaching Zaisha. Understood. Stay put. I'll go check the situation. Master Wu Ming, don't you need guards? No. To avoid misunderstandings, you can continue to hide near Zaisha. Yes, Master. Wu Ming disconnected the communication and lay on the bed. When it rains, it pours. I hope those adventurers can retreat on their own. As the portal closed, Wu Ming appeared on the plain near Khan Village. So, those are the adventurers who are approaching? Wu Ming looked at the adventurers coming toward him. Wu Ming took out Yggdrasil and threw it into the air. After a while, Funbaba appeared behind Wu Ming. Those adventurers also seemed to have seen Wu Ming and Funbaba, and they all stopped for a while. 3 people who seemed to be captains came over. Are you the captains of the adventurers who came to crusade against the vampire? Yes, I'm Parodi from Sirius. These 2 are Moknak from Rainbow and Igvaki from Kraugla. May I ask who you are? A young man with a determined look said, I'm the vampire's summoner. Because of an accident, I lost control. Please go back. This is not something you can intervene in. But even if you say so, Parodi had a troubled expression on his face. Don't waste your breath on him. Igvaki said, who knows? Maybe he's actually here to steal our credit. He thinks that he can do whatever he wants just because he has a good-looking magical beast. To be honest, Funbaba was not tall, and it looked gentle, but it did not mean that Funbaba would not kill. Funbaba raised its leg, and in an instant, a huge man-eating flower appeared at Igvaki's feet. In an instant, Igvaki was eaten by the man-eating flower before he could even make a sound. Parodi and Moknak put their hands on their weapons with a solemn expression. I'm in a bad mood. Persuading you to leave is for your own good. Do you have to make an example of me? Wu Ming released the aura of a giant dragon. The wind pressure caused by his aura overturned the adventurers in the distance, and Parodi and Moknak in front of him were unconscious. Wu Ming slowly retracted his aura. Ever since Silent Wonder turned into a dragon, he had mastered an invisible pressure similar to draconic aura. This could be considered a blessing in disguise. Looking at the hurried and orderly retreat, Wu Ming turned around and walked towards Satya. Chapter 48. Looking at Satya, who was wearing red armor and holding a strange spear, Wu Ming couldn't help but think of Satya's information. Fortunately, I checked Satya's information, equipment, and skills before. I have to deal with Satya quickly. Satya's armor was legendary level armor, and her weapon was a divine artifact level special weapon, Dropper Spear. Dropper Spear could heal itself by inflicting damage to the opponent in a certain proportion, which could be said to be a miracle in a protracted battle. According to the information, Satya also had a resurrection item. In that case, I have to kill Satya twice. Sigh, I really don't want to experience killing my subordinates again. When Wu Ming was a knight, he once had a subordinate who was infected by a monster. At his subordinate's request, Wu Ming had to kill him. Wu Ming, Sama, hearing that voice, Wu Ming looked at his arm. Enkidu, are you awake? Well, because Wu Ming, Sama is upset, I woke up to see if there is any way to help you. Ah, I appreciate your kindness, but I don't think you can do anything about it. Wuming couldn't find any other way to remove Satya's mind control other than killing her. Wuming, Sama, maybe I can give it a try. Oh, really, little Enkidu? Wuming was so excited that he called out Wuming's pet name for Enkidu. Yes, Wuming, Sama. I was originally a chain connecting heaven and earth. Of course, I have a way to break the chain. If possible, Wuming, Sama, can connect me to Satya, and I should be able to remove the negative effect. But little Enkidu, why didn't I know you have this ability? Wuming asked strangely. After all, Wuming was also a Uruk native, and he knew about the Heaven Lock. It's strange. After I came to this world with Wuming, Sama, I began to change, which is why I fell into a deep sleep. I'm sorry, little Enkidu, there is no way to lift the curse on your body. When Enkidu was cursed by the gods, Wuming only took away Enkidu's soul, and his body was indeed dead. Therefore, Enkidu couldn't show his body, and could only accompany Wuming in the form of Heaven Lock. It's all right, Lord Wuming. Enki is very happy to be able to be tied to Lord Wuming like this. Wuming touched Enkidu hidden on his arm and didn't say anything. Little Enkidu, my first battle in this world. Let's go. Yes. Wuming Sama. High-level item creation. A white light flashed, and a white armor appeared on Wuming's body. That was the silver dragon armor that Wuming used in Britain. Funbaba. Woo. Funbaba changed, and a silver-white spear flew in the air. As if it was calculated, Wuming stretched out his hand and firmly grabbed the spear. Yggdrasil. The silver-white spear slowly melted like liquid, attached to Wuming's left hand, forming a silver-white left-hand armor. Then Wuming stretched out his hand, and a white hole appeared on the right side of his body, and the hilt of a sword slowly came out of it. Wuming held the hilt with his right hand and pulled it out. The silver-white holy sword appeared in Wuming's right hand. Heavenly fire. The white flame attached to the silver holy sword. Then I'll start first. Satya. Wuming held the sword with both hands and raised it above his head. Although it was daytime, there was a trace of starlight in the sky, and the starlight began to gather on the sword. Yes, silver, meteor, silver. The white holy sword gathered the light, and the moment the real name was shouted, the light overflowed. A huge silver-white beam of light rose into the sky, and the silver-white beam of light continued to expand, covering a few kilometers in an instant. 1/3 of the nearby forest was destroyed, and Khan village was almost affected. Gradually, the light disappeared, revealing the ground that was more than 10 meters deep, as if it was baptized by a nuclear bomb. The guardians in the conference hall who watched with a long-in perspective mirror were surprised. It's comparable to the destructive power of supreme magic. As expected of Wuming Sama. Demiurgos pushed his glasses and said with a trembling voice, "That seems to be the attack launched by Wuming Sama's weapon. Is it a world-class item owned by Wuming Sama?" Cositas opened his mouth. Cositas, who had dozens of weapons, could clearly see that this wasn't Wuming's skill, but a weapon. Such a powerful blow, as expected of my lover. Wuming Bade did not show her infatuation side, but with a rather calm expression. Satya, Sama shouldn't be able to withstand Wuming Sama's attack. It should be Wuming Sama's victory. Although Sebastian was a level 100 NPC, he still called the Guardian Sama. Yuz and Mare, who were on the edge of a nearby cliff, were covered in dust. Phew, that was close. We were almost finished. Wuming Sama is really powerful, isn't he, sister? That's right. If Yuz and Mare had not activated their special skills in time, they might have ended up like Satya. Wuming looked at X Silver, Meteor Silver, and scratched his head awkwardly. I accidentally used too much magic power. What should I say, Lord Wuming? Enkidu, who was on Wuming's left arm side. I can't help it. Ever since I turned back into a dragon, I haven't used my noble artifact. Who knew that its power would increase so much? This was also the bloodline advantage of the root dragon, the qualitative increase in magic power. The same magic power, but the current one was much purer than before. She should be fine. Satya, just as Wuming was discussing Satya, a burst of laughter was heard. Ha 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 ha, isn't this Lord Wuming? As expected of the supreme Wuming, Lord Wuming, who killed me instantly. Fortunately, I still have a resurrection item. Lord Wuming, ha 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 ha. Sure enough, I've already killed Satya once. What a big mistake. Since I turned into a dragon, the quality of my magic power has greatly improved. Coupled with the bonus of the Tier 9 spell, Heavenly Fire, the power of Exilver's noble artifact is really amazing. Wuming shook his head and looked at Satya with his eyes hidden under the helmet. I'm sorry, Satya, I accidentally killed you. No, Lord Wuming, you don't need to apologize because you just need to let me kill you. Huh? Looking at Satya, who was laughing wildly, Wuming couldn't help but think. Is he really mentally ill? If that's the case, Shaoan. Yes. The silver chain appeared on Wuming's left gauntlet, and the chain seemed to be endless, shooting towards Satya. Such a simple attack. Lord Wuming, why did you use it? Satya instantly used the flying ability of her armor to avoid the entanglement of Enkidu. Is that so? Satya, what about this? The sound of chains colliding could be heard as white holes similar to spatial doors appeared in the air around Satya, surrounding her. Greater teleport. Don't even think about it. Wuming was already prepared. Wuming instantly tore the scroll from Dragonist. What? Greater teleport doesn't work? Is it dimensional lock? Yes, it's dimensional lock that can restrain teleport. Enkidu. In an instant, Enkidu extended from each white space and bound Satya. Damn it! Einherjar. As Satya chanted the spell, a white light flew out of Satya's body. After the white light took shape, it was a figure exactly the same as Satya, but this figure was completely white. Einherjar, summoned by this skill, only had the physical ability of the original body, and it could not use magic or skills. Einherjar rushed toward Wuming, but Satya knew very well that Einherjar was no match for Wuming. Struggling to break free from Enkidu, Satya activated Magic Essence and began to check Wuming's magical power. What she saw was a huge amount of magical power gushing out like a bottomless pit. As expected of the supreme being of the great underground tomb of Nasaric. You can be said to be an invincible existence, Lord Wuming. On the other side, Wuming activated another noble phantasm. Noble phantasm liberation, Yggdrasil. A large number of branches quickly grew from Wuming's left hand, entangling Satya's Einherjar. Absorb, Yggdrasil. The Einherjar gradually faded until it completely disappeared. So what should you do now, Satya? Chapter 49. Ah, Wuming Sama. What kind of artifact is this chain of yours? I even used Impure Impact Shield, but I still couldn't break your shackles. Although she said that, Zacia's expression was very anxious. Enkidu, let's start. Try to get in touch with Satya's mind control. Yes, Master Wuming. The silver-white chain wrapped around Satya began to glow, and Satya struggled and screamed in pain. Ah! Listening to Satya's screams, Wuming couldn't help but clench his fists. Although Wuming hadn't been in charge of Nasaric for long, not even a month, Wuming was very fond of his subordinates, who were like newborn babies. Since he gained benefits, he had to bear the responsibility. That was what Wuming thought when he became the ruler of Nasaric. Now, Wuming has regarded the people of Nasaric as his family, friends, and children. Wuming called it a trip, and to put it bluntly, he was homeless. Although it was a short time, compared to living in the strange outside world, Nasaric, which was full of monsters, gave Wuming a sense of belonging. After all, Wuming was not human. After a while, Satya fainted, and the chain stopped glowing. How is it, little Enkidu? Should be... Okay. Wuming heard Enkidu's voice and felt something was wrong, so he quickly asked, What's wrong, little Enkidu? Are you okay? I'm fine, Master Wuming. I'm still not used to the changes in Enkidu. Plus, I forced myself to wake up before. I might fall asleep again. Sorry, Master Wuming. It's okay, little Enkidu. You don't have to apologize. I'm really lucky to have you by my side. Enkidu didn't say anything else. Sensing the weakening of Enkidu's mana, Wuming knew that Enkidu had fallen asleep again. Wuming jumped up and hugged the unconscious Satya. He stroked Satya's face and said, "Go to sleep. Everything will be fine." As if she had heard him, Satya's slightly nervous face gradually relaxed. Nasric conference room. As expected, Sir Wuming's victory is beyond doubt. Cositas exhaled a breath of cold air as he spoke. It seems that I don't need to prepare materials for Satya's revival, as expected of Lord Wuming. Dimagos adjusted his glasses. Regardless of whether Wuming had come into contact with Satya's mind control, he had already captured Satya alive, so there was no need to prepare for her resurrection. Then, let's welcome the master that we will serve forever, guardians, said Yair Bade. Pardon my rudeness, but I won't be going. I have to prepare food for the returning Lord Wuming. I remember that Lord Wuming strongly requested not to eat potatoes last time. I have to inform a chef. With that, Sebastian bowed and left. Wuming landed on the ground with the unconscious Satya in his arms. He looked at Yal and Malay who were walking toward him. I'm sorry, Yal Malay. I didn't hurt you just now, did I? It's okay, it's okay. I didn't expect Lord Wuming, who had been keeping a low profile in Nasric, to be so powerful. And powerful. And gentle. Wuming smiled and shook his head. I'm still far from that. You must know that no matter what, there's no end to it. To be honest, Wuming didn't expect a noble artifact to be so powerful. After all, Wuming didn't use a noble artifact many times. The few times that he did, it was because his opponent also used a noble artifact, or because his opponent was unmatched without a noble artifact. Thinking about it carefully, it wasn't strange. Noble artifacts were known as the trump cards of heroic spirits. Putting aside the strength of heroic spirits, just the word trump card showed the importance of a noble artifact. By the way, y'all, Wuming looked at y'all and asked, the anti-detection magic is working, right? Yes, Lord Wuming. Although Lord Wuming's attack destroyed most of the magic, I repaired it in time, so there's no problem. Then, as if he thought of something, Wuming said to Malay, don't make any changes to the traces of the battle here. It can serve as a deterrent. Yes, Lord Wuming. Then let's go. Yes, Lord Wuming. X2, between the thrones in the audience hall. Yair Bade, Demugos Cositas, Sebastian, and the others have been waiting for a long time. Wuming carried Satya while the Dark Elf twins followed behind him. Lord Wuming, congratulations on your victorious return. Looking at the guardians, including the twins, who were kneeling on one knee, Wuming said, Rise, guardians. Yes, Lord Wuming. Yair Bade checked Satya's status. Yes, Lord. Yair Bade slid his finger in the air and opened a virtual window. Yair Bade slid his finger. When he saw Satya's name turn from red to white, he heaved a sigh of relief. There's no problem, Lord Wuming. Satya's name has turned white. How about this? Bring Satya to the room on the 9th floor to rest. During this time, arrange for many monsters above level 90 to guard her and set up many magic traps to prevent Satya from going berserk. This, Lord Wuming, to let the servants step into the residence of the supreme beings. Yair Bade had an inappropriate expression. It's fine. The other supreme beings won't blame you. Carry out the order. Yes, Lord. Speaking of which, it was strange. Ever since Wuming came to Nasric, the 9th floor of Nazaric's underground graveyard had been deserted. No, it should be said that this was more befitting of the graveyard's name. In fact, there were quite a lot of people on the 9th floor. There were 41 level 1 android maids, as well as a group of service staff in bars, restaurants, and hot springs. However, these people only moved around in their own areas and never came out. Thus, only the guardians were left to move around freely. In fact, it was also because each floor of Nasric was too big. Perhaps it was because Wuming and Nasric had temporarily fused. Nasric was not as big as the information indicated. Instead, it was much bigger than the information indicated. Other than the surface of Nasaric, which did not change much, the 1st to 10th floors of Nasaric had expanded a lot. According to Wuming's speculation, the largest floor was even comparable to the size of a city. I'm a little tired. Let's go back and rest. Sebastian, is the food ready? Of course, Lord Wuming. It's all ready. I also specially told the chef to reject all potato products. Speaking of potatoes, Wuming recalled the fear of being dominated by Gawain in Britain. Well done, Sebastian. For the supreme beings, I won't hesitate. Following the conversation, Wuming and Sebastian stepped into the restaurant. Chapter 50. Wuming looked at the ceiling as he lay on the bed and covered himself with a blanket. Seriously, it's tough being the ruler of Nasaric. Is that why I can't be a king? Because of Satya's incident, Wuming fell into deep thought. Well, I finally know the difficulties of Maeve, Lia, and Gil. Wuming raised his right hand and looked at the ring of Ains Wurgong on his finger. Ains Wurgong, I'm now the king of the devil creatures. To think that I, the holy root dragon, have become the king of the devil creatures. Not bad, Wuming put down his hand and closed his eyes. Sleep, sleep. I must fully enjoy this beautiful moment. Just like that, Wuming fell asleep under the protection of the devil creatures. The next day, in the audience hall between the thrones. Looking at the empty hall, Wuming spoke in boredom. In that case, although Satya's mind control has been lifted, there's still a trace of a problem. Wuming sat on the throne and leaned sideways against the back of the throne. He supported his face with his right hand and looked as if he had not slept well. It's called a problem, but it's just that after Satya woke up, she remembered that she fought against the supreme honorable and felt ashamed. Yair Bird said, In that case, give Satya an appropriate punishment. Wuming scratched his cheek. As expected of the supreme honorable, our master is a great being who rewards and punishes clearly. Yair Bird knelt on one knee and placed his right hand on his heart. Get up, Yair Bird. Speaking of which, does Satya have any information on the enemy? Even the slightest bit would be good. At this point, Wuming's lazy gaze became like a terrifying beast and emitted a dangerous aura. Yes, Lord Wuming. Because of your special item, Satya still retains her original memory. In the report submitted by Satya, it is very likely that the other party is from Cillian Theocracy. Yair Bird stood up and crossed his hands on his abdomen. The other party appeared near Khan village where Lord Wuming dealt with Sunshine Grimoire, and according to Satya, the other party is a faith magic chanter. In addition, the other party has a world-class item that we don't know about that can even affect the undead who are immune to mind control. The other party is probably a special unit of Cillian Theocracy, the Dark Grimoire. The Dark Grimoire? It seems to be mentioned in the information extracted from the Sunshine Grimoire's Captain Negan. Wuming looked at Yair Bird. 600 years ago, the 6 gods suddenly appeared, led human beings to establish a country, protected human beings, and left behind treasures. Wuming stood up and stretched his body. Maybe the so-called 6 great gods are actually Yggdrasil's players, and the so-called treasure is actually Yggdrasil's item. If that's the case, then it's not unacceptable that the other party has a world-class item that can even control a level 100 NPC's mind. Wuming stood in front of the throne with his hands on his chest and closed his eyes as if he was thinking about something. Well, let Sebastian go and meet with Annabelle. Sebastian will announce to the public that he is my butler. Well, let Sebastian and Annabelle work together to help Golden Princess and Rose Songway. If necessary, they can show their strength without revealing Nazaric's information. Yes, Lord Wuming. So that's how it is. Lord Wuming wants to control that country? It seems that I have to discuss it with Demiurgos. Yair Bade thought. Also, let Demiurgos and Yair go to the southwest of the kingdom. There's a country called Holy Kingdom there. Try to get involved with that country and let Demiurgos act according to the circumstances. Try not to be too ostentatious. As for the humans you meet, don't hurt those with integrity. Deal with the scum on your own. Yes, Lord Wuming. Do you have any other orders? Yair Bade asked. Well, Sebastian is in charge of everything in the kingdom, including killing people. You must follow Sebastian's judgment. Demiurgos is in charge of everything in the Holy Kingdom. Try not to kill people. Yes, Lord Wuming, I will pass the message. After Yair Bade left, Wuming also began to move. Celian theocracy. I'll meet you. Wuming once again showed that kind of excited smile. This time, Wuming was going to go to the theocracy alone. Because he was afraid that Yair Bade would object, Wuming didn't even say anything. As for the reason for going to the theocracy, first, he must ask for an explanation about Zatia's matter. Second, Wuming was now very interested in the Celian theocracy. To be on the safe side, Wuming also deliberately pulled up the information in his mind to see if there were any world-class items with special abilities. On the Kaz plain, a huge green monster was running constantly. Wuming rode on the back of Funbaba. Sigh, I'm sorry to always let you be my means of transportation, Funbaba. Woo, yes, I know. I will let you move more in the future. After crossing the Kaz plain, Wuming entered the theocracy's border. After a series of inspections, Wuming successfully entered the Celian theocracy. After inquiring about the location of the Celian theocracy's capital from the old man, he rushed there. In a hotel in the Celian theocracy's capital, Wuming was still looking through some of the information in his mind. World's will, it is said that as long as you have it, you will always become stronger. Is it true or not? Devastating beauty can forcibly control one's mind. Well, it seems that this should be what controlled Zatia. Holy Slayer's Lance can completely delete the target character's data. There is no other way except for using world-class items with resurrection effect. This is more dangerous. After all, I don't know if this thing has any effect on me. Just when Wuming was still thinking, a large number of people with a trace of hostility appeared in Wuming's perception range. Huh, did they find me so soon? As expected of the Celian theocracy with world-class items. In fact, Wuming didn't hide his aura at all. Even ordinary people will find that Wuming has a sense of oppression, let alone the elites who can stay in the capital. Since they're already here, I have to go out and meet them. Wuming got up and walked downstairs slowly. On the empty street where the crowd has been evacuated, Wuming put on the knight's armor that he created with high-grade item creation and looked at the other party's leader hidden under the helmet. It was a young man with a gun who seemed to be a teenager. So what can I do for you? Wuming asked. Excuse me, are you Wuming Sama, Root Dragon King? Chapter 51. Hearing the other party's question, Wuming did not answer, but fell into deep thought. What's going on? Not only did Irbarui know that Wuming was looking for someone, but he also suspected that I'm Wuming. The people in the theocracy also know, but I just arrived in this world not long ago. Wuming looked at the young man who asked the question in front of him. What about you? Who are you? Wuming declined the other party's question implicitly. I'm the lead disciple of Dark Scripture in Celian Theocracy. Codename is Dark Scripture, Wuming Sama. Seeing the other party bowed politely, Wuming spoke again. So, Dark Boy, you know about the vampire near Yolanta, right? Yes, Wuming Sama. We found it when we passed by there, and we lost 3 people because of it. Very well, that's my subordinate. Don't you want to explain? Dark Scripture's lead disciple clearly perceived that the other party was constantly exuding a dragon-like pressure to the surroundings. I'm sorry, Wuming Sama, because you disappeared for too long, so we don't know much about your new subordinate. Please forgive us. New subordinate? Do I have any old subordinates? Wuming's expression did not change at all, but his heart was already in a mess. Okay, then take my blow. As he spoke, Wuming took out X Silver, Meteor Silver, from Dragonist, Dragon's Nest, and raised it above his head with one hand. In an instant, a large amount of starlight gathered from the endless blue sky into the sword. Wuming Sama, please calm down. The lead disciple shouted nervously at Wuming, and the young man's subordinates also picked up their weapons, although they didn't have much effect. At the same time, they also sent a message to the higher-ups of Celian Theocracy. Take this sword that's comparable to supreme magic, and I will leave. With that, The light on the holy sword stopped gathering. Shine! Meteor! X silver, meteor silver. The dazzling diamond-like starlight instantly drowned out the pitch-black scripture and also drowned out the tall building in the center of the capital that Wu Ming was aiming at, the main church. A large number of citizens of the Si Lien cult's capital were temporarily blinded by the bright starlight. A moment later, after the white light, the pitch-black cannon and the large number of theocracy personnel in front of Wu Ming had disappeared. However, Wu Ming did not feel the sacred sword sweeping past them. He assumed that the sacred sword had used a legendary spell. Looking at the dilapidated Syrian church, Wu Ming said calmly, "Can you defend against one of my attacks?" Although I didn't use much strength. With that, Wu Ming turned around and prepared to leave the capital of the Si Lien cult. Due to Wu Ming's deliberate control, other than the street and the church in front of Wu Ming being destroyed, the residential buildings were not damaged at all. As expected, due to the release of my dragon body in advance, the precision of my magic power control has increased by quite a bit. Wu Ming took out Yggdrasil and aimed it at the sky. A green energy began to spread throughout the entire capital of the Si Lien cult. No matter what, it's because of me that you have all been indirectly blinded. I'm really sorry. A large amount of life force was injected into the bodies of all the citizens in the capital. This should be enough. It's time to go. At that moment, Wu Ming felt that something had locked onto him. Wu Ming turned around and saw a huge light spear flying out from the destroyed church. Wu Ming frowned. He could feel the threat of the light spear, but it was not serious. A world-class tool? A large number of thick trees surged up from the ground and formed a wooden wall. The light spear pierced through the wooden wall layer by layer without any decrease in strength. The light spear completely pierced through the wooden wall and hit Wu Ming directly. The light spear turned into a light film, enveloping Wu Ming, and Wu Ming's body began to disappear. Just when the Si Lien cult's higher-ups hiding in the ruins of the church relaxed, the light film shattered. The shattered light turned into a little golden light and dissipated into the air. This should be the Holy Slayer's lance. Wu Ming looked at his hand that was not wearing a single ring and smiled. Sure enough, even without a world-class tool, a mere game tool can't destroy me as the root dragon. After all, the adult root dragon's roots and time were its home. How could a mere tool transformed from a game into reality affect Wu Ming? Even if Wu Ming was an underage root dragon. Wu Ming looked at the Si Lien cult's higher-ups, as if he could see through the wall. So, here comes the revenge. Wu Ming raised Yggdrasil and wanted to release its real name. At that moment, Wu Ming seemed to hear something and put away Yggdrasil. You're lucky. After saying that, Wu Ming left the capital of Si Lien cult without looking back, leaving behind a group of confused residents who felt as if they were in a dream and a group of terrified higher-ups. After Wu Ming left the capital of Si Lien cult, he immediately moved to the northwest. After tearing the flight scroll, Wu Ming flew into the sky and flew toward the Ristage Kingdom. Soon Wu Ming arrived at the sky above the kingdom, but Wu Ming did not stop and continued to move toward the northwest of the kingdom. That was the most northwest country on the continent, known as the Grand Kingdom. It was a country built by the demi-humans, located in the north of the Ristage Kingdom, northwest of the continent. It had a long history and strong national power. It was said that there were 5 or 7 dragons as counselors. The reason Wu Ming returned here was because someone had sent a message to Wu Ming through message magic. Come to the Grand Kingdom, partner. I will tell you everything you have doubts about. Wu Ming sensed the message and map left behind by the other party and arrived at a cave. After entering the cave, Wu Ming found a teleportation magic circle in the deepest part of the cave. Wu Ming activated the magic circle. After a flash of white light, Wu Ming found himself in a large palace, as if he had been in the palace of Babylon. And on a huge platform in front of Wu Ming, a huge white dragon was lying on it. Are you the one who called me? The dragon raised its head and looked at Wu Ming. Sure enough, you don't know me at this time, partner. Judging by your tone, we are very close, Wu Ming asked. Haha, of course, we are partners who have gone through life and death together. No, master. This surprised Wu Ming. Then, let me guess, is it because of the time travel magic? As expected of you, partner. According to the you I know, you came from 700 years later. 700 years later? Wu Ming was puzzled. As far as I know, the 6th great god from 600 years ago, the 8 desires king from 500 years ago, the demon god from 200 years ago, and the 13 heroes should all be transmigrators. The dragon said to Wu Ming. Yes, that's right. You told me that back then. And there were other transmigrators 400 years ago, 300 years ago, and 100 years ago, but their strength and character were inferior, and they were all destroyed by us. Wu Ming looked at the dragon. This is really interesting. What about me? Did I leave? To be precise, you left 100 years ago. Except for the era of the 6 great gods, the 8 desires king, and the 13 heroes when you woke up, the rest of the time you were asleep because you were about to leave your childhood. Oh, then I'm going to be an adult. Wu Ming was a little excited. After all, the root dragon's childhood was too long ago. The dragon smiled. No, you've entered your youth. That's what you said yourself. For a moment, Wu Ming felt like the world was joking. Let's not talk about this first. Why did you stop me from destroying the silent theocracy? And why did you call me here today? To tell me my future? Unfortunately, you guessed wrong. Neither. There was a smug smile on the dragon's face. It was an expression of, you finally have something you can't guess. I'm going to return the uninscribed book to you today. Chapter 52. Uninscribed Incantation Book. Wu Ming was puzzled. Yes, this is what you entrusted me to give to you now when I first met you, partner. The dragon opened its mouth, and a glowing sphere flew out of the dragon's mouth. It was a book, a slightly quaint and mysterious book with black and red decorations. Wu Ming looked at the book with some disgust. Will it have your bad breath? The dragon instantly felt powerless. Hurry up and take it, and then hurry up. Really, I'm going to sleep. Wu Ming held the book and watched as the giant dragon lowered its head. It was as if it had fallen asleep and did not make a sound. What a strange temper. No wonder it sleeps alone in this broken place. When Silent Wonder saw the word V appear above the dragon's head, he stood on the teleportation array and left the area. After a while, the dragon raised its head and looked at the teleportation circle where Wu Ming left. What a mysterious master. After that, it fell asleep again. Walking out of the cave, Wu Ming looked at the two of them reading the book in their hands, and he didn't know what they were thinking. By the way, I haven't asked the dragon's name yet. Forget it. Let's talk about it later. Anyway, I will definitely meet it again. Portal. Wu Ming directly opened the portal connecting to Nasaric and walked in. The portal's range must be a place he has been to, or a place he has seen, or an image in his mind. Otherwise, it couldn't be used. But in a sense, the portal was also a unique skill. After all, as long as there was an image of that place in his mind, he could teleport at will, which could be regarded as a bug-like skill. Back to the 10th floor of Nasaric, between the throne and the audience hall. Walking out of the portal, Wu Ming sat on the throne, opened the uninscribed incantation book given by the dragon, and began to read the book. This book would turn to a specific page according to the user's thoughts. That was to say, the user didn't need to turn the pages by himself. Shortly after Wu Ming read it, the door of the audience hall opened. As the door opened, a large number of Nasaric personnel poured into the audience hall. This gave Wu Ming a fright. Lord Wu Ming, Lord Wu Ming, where have you been? Lord Wu Ming, we were very worried about you. Looking at the worried expressions of the guardians, Wu Ming sighed. I'm sorry for going out without telling you. It's my fault for making you worry. Wu Ming's apology made the guardians and the magical creatures they brought in tremble. They quickly knelt on one knee and lowered their heads. How could that be? Lord Wu Ming, we spoke rudely to you, but you didn't punish us. Instead, you apologized to us. This is the fault of us guardians. Please punish us, Lord Wu Ming. Bade said. Please punish us, Lord Wu Ming. The other guardians and monsters said in unison. Wu Ming smiled helplessly. These guys were good at everything, but they were too loyal. They couldn't tolerate any disrespect to him. Then our previous mistakes will cancel each other out. Looking at Bade, who seemed to want to object, Wu Ming said again, It's settled. No objections. Yes, Lord Wuming. So, Wuming picked up the uninscribed book in his hand and ordered everyone in front of him. Guardians, gather in the conference room. The rest of you are free to do whatever you want. Yes, Lord Wuming. A moment later, in the conference room, Wuming sat on the office chair, supporting his head with his right hand on the large desk. Sebastian. Yes, Lord Wuming. Sebastian bent over and put his hand on his heart. How is the kingdom situation? Master Wuming, the thing that Golden Princess wanted to ask you to do is to eradicate Hachiko, an underground organization that integrates smuggling, drugs, slave trading, assassinations, bodyguards, and other activities. It is said that they have infiltrated the kingdom. After seeing the power of Nasarick, Golden Princess and Rose Tsongwei entrusted me and Annabelle to eliminate Hachiko. They offered a high price, and with your permission, I helped them eliminate Hachiko. Sebastian looked at Wuming and said, Actually, Lord Wuming, there is one thing I didn't ask for your permission. It's okay, Sebastian, you can say it now. Wuming crossed his hands and put them on his chin. I saved a girl during the crusade against Hachiko, and I want to take her back to Nasarick. Oh, did she agree? Wuming asked. Yes, Lord Wuming, she has no home. Although she still has a younger sister, she doesn't want to remember the past because of psychological reasons. She also asked you to let Xiaoliai live in Nasarick. I agree, Sebastian, but how about letting her be a maidservant? It's all up to Lord Wuming, Sebastian said. That's it. Sebastian, you will convey the message to Xiaoliai, and at the same time, inform all Nasarick. I now appoint Xiaoliai as Sebastian's personal maidservant, and at the same time, revoke your position as the captain of the Pleiades Star Cluster and let Li Alpha be the acting captain. Yes, Lord Wuming, thank you for your generosity, Lord Wuming. Sebastian bowed deeply. Also, I'll arrange something for you later. That's all for now. Demiurgos, how are you doing in the Holy Kingdom? Yes, Lord Wuming. I set up a farm at the border of the Holy Kingdom. I caught a large number of animals to test the scroll, and the result was very successful. Demiurgos knelt on one knee and said to Wuming, Animals? Well, Demiurgos, your demons should be able to see the good and evil in people's hearts. Let go of the good and keep the evil, understand? Wuming thought for a moment and realized that Demiurgos was talking about animals. After all, Wuming never heard of a large number of demonic beasts near the Holy Kingdom. There were only many types of demi-humans. Of course, Lord Wuming, because you like humans and good people, I deliberately avoided these people when I caught them. Demiurgos pushed his glasses. Well done, Demiurgos, get up. As a reward, I will give you this. At the moment when Demiurgos got up, Wuming threw the ring of Ans Ergong to Demiurgos. This is the ring of Ans Ergong. Lord Wuming, this is a supreme treasure that only the Supreme One can wear. How can I? Well, Demiurgos, accept it. This is your reward, understand? Yes, Lord Wuming. I will go through fire and water for Nasarick in the future. Well, y'all, I heard that you found a lizardman village on the way back. Yes, Lord Wuming. Y'all raised his hand and said. Then Cocytus. Yes, Lord. Cocytus exhaled cold air. Although the lizardmen are useless to Nasarick, I want to see your ability, Cocytus. You will go and subdue the lizardmen. Yes, Lord Wuming. I will complete your task. But remember, you and your men don't fight in the first battle. I will send some soldiers to follow you. Only these soldiers can be used in the first battle. Remember? Yes, Lord Wuming. Mayor. Yes, Lord Wuming. Well, you go and cancel Nazarik's external camouflage. I will provide you with a magic array. You can use the magic on this magic array to camouflage Nasarick. After that, Wuming opened the uninscribed book. As Wuming thought, the book turned automatically and stopped at a certain page. High-level item creation. A blueprint with a high-level camouflage magic array appeared in front of Wuming. I'll leave it to you, Mayor. Yes, I will not let Lord Wuming down. Then, Satya. Yes, Lord. Seeing Satya's sad face, Wu Ming said. I've decided to punish you. Chapter 53. Hearing the punishment, Satya's face lit up. As for the specifics, we'll talk about it later. This confused Satya. Yair Abed. Wu Ming turned to look at Yair Abed. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Wu Ming took out another ring of Anzi Wurgong and handed it to Yair Abed. Lord Wu Ming, although he was happy that Wu Ming gave him the precious ring of Anzi Wurgong, Yair Abed was puzzled. After all, he did not make any contributions. I decided to leave Nasrik temporarily and head to the other world. So, I've decided to give you this ring to manage Nasrik while I'm away. How can that be, Lord Wu Ming? You should let my protectors lead the way to the other world, Yair Abed shouted. That's right, Lord Wu Ming. It's too dangerous for you to go personally, Demiurgos added. Seeing the worried expressions of the protectors, Wu Ming smiled. There's no helping it. I'm the only one who can traverse worlds with the staff of Anzi Wurgong. At most, I can bring 1 or 2 people. So, I can only be the vanguard. Of course, that was a lie. The staff of Anzi Wurgong only had the ability to bring people. Traversing worlds was Wu Ming's ability as the origin dragon. In that case, Lord Wu Ming should bring me along. As the person with the highest defense in Nasrik, I can definitely protect Lord Wu Ming, Yair Abed said. No, I've already confirmed the number of people. It's Satya and Sebastian. What? Satya and Sebastian were stunned. Then, they immediately knelt before Wu Ming. Your subordinates will do our best to live up to Lord Wu Ming's expectations and accept this punishment. Both Zaisha and Sebastian treated this as a punishment. Rise, everyone. It's not without reason that I brought Satya and Sebastian along. The reason for bringing Satya along was firstly that Satya's ability was outstanding among the Guardians. She could be said to be one of the best. Secondly, it was to punish her. On the other hand, Sebastian's fighting ability is unparalleled, and his identity as a butler can easily conceal us. After all, I don't really need too much defense. As a root dragon, my defense has always been very high. Although saying this would make Yair Bade sad, Wu Ming really didn't want to bring Yair Bade along. Now that you're here, my trip has become a trip to hell. Yair Bade and Demiurgos did not speak. Seeing that the 2 think tanks did not speak, the other Guardians did not have any intention of speaking either. It's decided then. Also, I'll inform Pandora Yakut to leave the treasury. No one can invade that place. I'll let her play my role while I'm not in Nasrik. If there's anything, Yerbed and Demiurgos can discuss it with Pandora. That's it. The meeting is over. Zaisha and Sebastian will stay behind. The rest of you can leave. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Everyone shouted in unison. Before Yerbed, who was the last to leave, left, Wu Ming said, I hope you can use this ring well. I hope you can make good use of this ring. When I return, I will see a more perfect Nasrik. Just like that, Yerbed left with an excited expression. Wu Ming exhaled and looked at Zaisha. In that case, Zaisha, you have to be prepared to stay in the staff of Ains Urgong for a long time. Go and prepare your bed. A moment later, Zaisha left the meeting room with an indescribable expression. Sebastian, you might not be able to see Kialiai for a long time. Forgive me for breaking up your reunion with Kialiai, Wu Ming said apologetically. How could that be? Master Wu Ming, to be able to serve by your side, let alone a punishment, in my opinion, this is the best reward for me, Sebastian said solemnly. Well, I'll give you some money. Go shopping with Kialiai and buy something. Let her enjoy the days with you first. This is also my greeting to the new member of Nasrik. With that said, Wu Ming took out a bag of gold coins and put it in front of Sebastian. Thank you very much, Lord Wu Ming. Sebastian put away the money bag and bowed to Wu Ming. Go. I'll inform you when it's time to leave. It should be in 5 days. Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Click. With the sound of the door closing, Wu Ming was the only one left in the meeting room. Well, it's time to meet Pandora. Teleport. Wu Ming activated the ability of Anzi Urgong's ring and arrived in front of the treasure vault. Walking into the treasure vault, Wu Ming came to a room similar to a luxurious living room. On the sofa in this room, A skeleton wearing a gorgeous blue-black mage robe was sitting on it. It was a dead mage. Who will it be this time? Pandora race was a double phantom, which was the same race as Annabelle. However, Annabelle's race was only level 1, which meant that she could only transform into one appearance, which was Annabelle's current appearance. Pandora Yakon's race ability was level 41, which meant she could transform into 41 appearances. Because of Pandora's special skill, the appearance Pandora transformed into could have 80% of the original's ability. Pandora's current appearance was one of Anzi-Urgong's 41 players, and Pandora's 41 targets were Anzi-Urgong's 41 players. If she wanted to transform into another person, she had to give up one of the 41 players she had cloned. However, Wuming asked for a spell to make up for the double phantom transformation ability in the uninscribed spellbook. Using a special spell to record the character's information that had been cloned and save it on a special paper, so that the character's transformation ability could be transferred from one's own skill to a special container, and then continue to copy other characters' information to transform into that person's appearance. Wu Ming, on the other hand, had already prepared the special paper. "Oh, Lord Wuming, welcome." The appearance of the dead great magician in front of him gradually changed, turning into a strange humanoid with completely white skin, wearing a German military uniform and a military cap. He had no facial features. In the position of the facial features, there were some holes as the representation of the facial features. "Pandora, I have something to tell you." After briefly explaining Wuming's idea and the special paper Wuming took out, Pandora instantly understood. "Understood, Lord Wuming. Leave it to me. I will turn you into a hero. Don't worry." Looking at Pandora, who was performing a German military salute, Wuming was a little helpless. "Don't act like you're a real hero. Try not to interact with others. It's best if you're unpredictable. I'll pass on the memories and conversations of acquaintances to you. Do your best. I know you can do it. In Nasaric, your wisdom is no less than Demiurgo's." "Understood, Lord Wuming." Looking at Pandora, who was making a strange sound and performing a military salute, Wuming couldn't help but think, "Am I doing the right thing?" Chapter 54. After telling Pandora everything, Wuming left the treasury. Back in the conference room, Wuming decided to read the uninscribed book more. After all, it will automatically record the magic of the world. After reading the book in the conference room for a few days, Wuming closed the book and stretched. "I'm so tired. Although I don't have to eat, I still have to sleep." With that said, Wuming used the ring of Ain's Wugong to go to his bedroom. Lying on the bed, Wuming recalled everything he did in this world. "I'll tell them the truth. I'm not the supreme lord they used to be loyal to. After all, Wuming also indirectly deceived the Guardians. Even if the Guardians didn't care, Wuming still felt uncomfortable. After all, I'm the root dragon. How can I do such a thing? It's a disgrace to my bloodline." After thinking about it, Wuming shook his head again. "Of course not. If I tell them the truth, with their sense of justice, they might take revenge on the Supreme Lord who abandoned them. Well, I still have to think about it carefully." After a while, Wuming's door was knocked. "Come in. Sorry to disturb you, Wuming-sama." The succubus in a white dress walked into Wuming's bedroom. Yeah. Belle, what are you doing here?" In short, Wuming still couldn't deal with this crazy woman. "It's like this, Wuming-sama. Because of your actions in this world, the Guardians and I have specially provided you with some items that may be useful." Belle stretched out her hand, and a dark purple ripple appeared in the air. That ripple can be understood as a backpack, which was the storage space for items in the game. Belle took out a backpack from it. The moment she took it out, Wuming recognized it. It was an infinite backpack. Wuming took it and checked the items in the bag. "Really, I've already taken some useful items from Nazark's treasure vault. Let's do this." Wuming took out some items that he didn't have, or didn't have the same effect as Belle. He opened a golden hole in the air and put those items inside. As for the remaining items in the infinite backpack, Wuming threw them back to Belle. That golden ripple was an extension of Wuming's space noble artifact, Dragonist, Dragon's Nest. Previously, Wu Ming could access items from Dragonist in an instant, but it wasn't suitable for storing or retrieving a large number of items. Therefore, Wu Ming learned the Guardian skill of opening backpack and developed this skill. I'll take some items that don't have the same effect as me. You could divide the rest among the Guardians or the anti-theft treasure vault. Anyway, I won't touch it again. Wu Ming waved his hand and said somewhat willfully, "Yes." Wu Ming, Rebel was taken aback at first. Then she showed a smile. "Well then, I'll take my leave first, Wu Ming, Sama." When Rebel was about to leave, Wu Ming stopped Rebel. "Wait a minute, Rebel. I have a question." Wu Ming said awkwardly. "What's the matter, Wu Ming, Sama? Is there a problem that I, as your subordinate, can solve?" "Yeah." Rebel looked at Wu Ming. And I'm saying if, I'm not the Supreme Venerable you served before, but just the Supreme Venerable who came in after the other Supreme Venerables left. What do you think?" Wu Ming asked a little guiltily. Faced with this question, Wu Ming thought Rebel would say something like, "That's impossible." "What does it matter, Wu Ming-sama?" Looking at Rebel's smiling face, Wu Ming was a little overwhelmed. According to Rebel's words, she already knew. Whether you are the Supreme Venerable we served before or not, it doesn't matter. In the end, you were the one who accompanied us into the other world. You were the one who accompanied us and protected us. When everyone was afraid of coming to the other world, you were the one who guided us in the front. Yeah. Rebel walked in front of Wu Ming and touched Wu Ming's face. "You shouldn't think about this problem. You just need to move forward, because we will only choose to follow you forever." There was a moment of silence in the bedroom. "Do the other Guardians know?" Wu Ming asked. "Yes, Lord Wu Ming. Demiugos and I were the first to guess. The other Guardians were also told by Demiugos and I during the Guardians meeting. They all said that whether Lord Wu Ming is the Supreme Venerable or not, the one who is accompanying us now is that Lord. Only by doing our best for that Lord can we repay that Lord's kindness towards us." That's what they said. Is that so? Let's not talk about how you and Demiugos came to this conclusion, but I hope you don't resent the other Supreme Venerables. After all, they will never have the chance to return to Nasrik. Yes, I promise you, my beloved Lord Wu Ming. Then, can you explain why you took off your clothes? Rebel. Wu Ming looked at Rebel, who was taking off his clothes, and shouted hysterically. "Of course, I'm taking advantage of the atmosphere to take down Lord Wu Ming. How can I let go of such a good atmosphere? Lord Wu Ming." Rebel returned to his infatuated expression. "Really, you've ruined such a rare atmosphere. Get out of my way." Wu Ming opened his palm, and silver chains bound Rebel. "What is this? Damn it, don't disturb me and Lord Wu Ming's happiness." Wu Ming smiled as he looked at Rebel, who was struggling on the ground, but was unable to break free. "No matter what, it's still a noble artifact. Just stay here obediently. Once the magic power of this skylock is exhausted, it will automatically disappear. That's it, goodbye, wait." Lord Wu Ming. After that, Wu Ming used the ring of Anziwargong to teleport out of the bedroom, leaving only Rebel, who was crying. On the 9th floor corridor, Wu Ming walked and muttered to himself, "Seriously, to think that I was so vexed. In the end, all the Guardians know about it." Sigh. As he walked, Wu Ming found himself in the corridor of the conference room. Demiugos? Wu Ming saw Demiugos standing in front of the conference room, looking at who he was talking to. Wu Ming speculated that Demiugos was using message magic to communicate, and Demiugos seemed to be too focused. He didn't notice Wu Ming's arrival for the time being, until Wu Ming stood behind Demiugos. "Lord Wu Ming, I'm so sorry. I didn't notice your arrival," Wu Ming said as he looked at Demiugos, who was kneeling on one knee. "It's okay, Demiugos, I don't blame you, including the conversation between you and Cositas just now. I'm so sorry, Lord Wu Ming. Your intention was to let Cositas understand by himself. I really shouldn't have said that." Demiugos lowered his head even more. "It's okay, Demiugos, I said I won't blame you. Come in with me," Wu Ming said as he opened the door of the conference room. After Wu Ming went in, Demiugos followed. Chapter 55. Wu Ming sat on the office chair and looked at Demiugos standing in front of the desk. I know, Dimia goes, you can understand my thoughts, and I am very satisfied with your way of helping your companions, so you don't have to blame yourself. Thank you for your magnanimity, Wuming Sama. Dimia goes bowed. So, how is Cositus's progress? Wuming asked. Cositus has just finished his first attack, and there is no doubt that he was defeated. Well, I think so too. After all, the soldiers I gave to Cositus were all mindless soldiers that were automatically produced by Nasaric. If they could win, I would be surprised by the lizardman's strength. Wuming continued. Dimia goes, tell Cositus that I want to watch the battle between him and the lizardman. He is allowed to fight, but only one person can fight. Yes, Master Wuming Sama. Dimia began to use message to contact Cositus. When he was free, Wuming stretched out his hand and took out the staff of Anzi-Urgong from the golden ripple. Remote perspective mirror. It was a special intelligence magic that could see the scene in the distance, and it could penetrate some anti-intelligence magic. Master Wuming Sama, I have already informed Cositus. Well, sit down and watch together. Yes. Soon, Cositus won. After all, those lizardmen were not even level 50. How could they win against Cositus, a level 100 warrior? I'm one of the scene to see. Do you want to come? Dimia goes. It's my pleasure, Master Wuming Sama. Portal. The black and red ripple door opened, and Wuming and Dimia walked in. Wuming came to Cositus's side and looked at the few lizardmen's bodies on the scene. Wuming praised. It's a wise choice. After all, when they knew that the other party wanted to subdue their race, they didn't need to send out all of their combatants, because if all of them died, it would be a disaster for their race. Sir Wuming. When Cositus saw that it was Wuming, he knelt down on one knee. Well done, Cositus. Thank you for your praise, Lord Wuming. Since we've conquered the lizard men, it's time for us to return. After saying that, Wuming wanted to leave. Lord Wuming, I have a request. Wuming looked in astonishment at Cositus, who was kneeling on one knee and bowing his head. Say it. If it's not a big problem, I'll agree to it. Thank you, Lord Wuming. I would like to request that you revive the lizard men. Oh, may I know why? Because they are all warriors with some strength. I think they can serve Nasaric. Don't you think this reason is far-fetched, Cositus? After saying that, Wuming didn't look at Cositus, who had his head bowed, but looked at Dimia who was beside him. Wuming's meaning was very simple. Dimia asked Cositus to ask for help from Wuming. Dimia immediately understood and shook his head lightly. Wuming understood and reached his hand into the golden ripples. He took out a short staff with an emerald head and an ivory body and threw it to Cositus. This resurrection staff is for you, Cositus. Although it can be used a limited number of times, reviving these lizard men shouldn't be a problem. Thank you, Lord Wuming. Then, with Cositus's grateful voice, Wuming returned to Nasaric. Dimia didn't follow him back. He stayed behind to help Cositus use the resurrection staff. As a warrior, Cositus couldn't use any staff-type items. He sat on the office chair and looked up at the ceiling. So, the things in Nasaric are almost done. Wuming heard the magic bell, and he put his hand on his ear. What's the matter? Lord Wuming, two humans broke into Nazaric's spirit temple. Nazaric's spirit temple. Because Marley had set up an illusion magic circle, no one should be able to break into Nasaric. But, I'm right, little Kaji. I told you it was here, but you didn't believe me. The speaker was a woman wearing a black cloak with short blonde hair and a smile on her face. Oomph. I'm warning you again, don't call me that. It's normal for this place to be strange. After all, such a large tomb is wrapped in an unknown illusion barrier. If you hadn't stepped into the hero domain, even if you had seen this place before, you wouldn't remember the location of this place. The other was a middle-aged man with skin as pale as a corpse's. He wore a dark red mage robe and held a magic staff and a dark gray pearl. He didn't have a single strand of hair on his head, whether it was a beard, eyebrows, or hair. He didn't have any. Understood. Then, is our Lord Kadjit worthy of knowing what happened to the cult nation? I don't know if the theocracy provoked those dragon kings. Not only the capital's main church was destroyed, but even the six-color Holy Scripture suffered heavy casualties. I hope they're all dead, so they won't chase me anymore. Okay, let's go, Clementine. The Orb of Death told me that there's a huge amount of death energy under this tomb. As long as I can get that energy, I can complete my ritual. After that, the man named Kaji began to move toward the entrance of the spirit temple. Stop, you two. A young man's voice came from the entrance of the spirit temple. Both Kaji and Clementine's faces changed. Clementine even took out her weapons, two short thorns. After all, that place was mysterious, and it was always right to be careful. Wu-Ming slowly came out of the shadow and looked at Kaji and Clementine. You two can come in because I opened a hole in the barrier. After all, there are people who want to come in all day long, so it's better to invite them in early. Don't you think so, Kaji, Clementine? Wu-Ming crossed his arms and looked at the two with a happy face. Hey, is it because of the conversation just now, Clementine? Get ready to retreat. Kaji's face became ugly. I will do it even if you don't say it. This man is too scary. He has been exuding a terrifying aura. Clementine whispered, I advise the two of you not to move around. If you're not careful, your head will fall off. With that, a few insect shadows appeared beside Kaji and Clementine. They were level 85 monsters called 8-limb assassin bugs. They were responsible for Wu-Ming's safety in Nasrik. At this moment, the front blades of these 8-limb assassin bugs were placed on Kaji and Clementine's necks without any blind spots. What? When? Hey, then, Wu-Ming said to the side. Shadow Demon, capture them. With that, Wu-Ming's shadow flashed, and a shadow rushed toward Kaji and Clementine. In an instant, the shadow covered the two. Wu-Ming didn't even look and left. Anyway, Demiugos would take care of it. It's about time to leave Nasrik and go to the other world. I'll leave tomorrow morning. With this thought, Wu-Ming left the surface of the tomb in Nasrik. Then, Demiugos appeared where Wu-Ming was standing before. Demiugos pushed up his glasses. Send them to the House of Reality in the 5th level, Ice Prison. Let Nihilus take good care of them. With that, he left like Wu-Ming. A moment later, the 8-limb assassin bugs and the shadow demon also disappeared. Only the empty spirit hall was left on the surface. Chapter 56. Wu-Ming gave his final instructions and left with Satya and Sebastian the next day. Under the effect of the staff of Anzirgong, Satya and Sebastian were sent into the space of the staff of Anzirgong by Wu-Ming and fell into a deep slumber. After transforming into his dragon form, Wu-Ming entered the space-time tunnel. Wu-Ming kept flying in the space-time tunnel. Looking at the light spots in the tunnel, Wu-Ming could not help but recall his previous transmigrations. When he transmigrated to the country of Shadow, Wu-Ming was not familiar with the structure of the space-time tunnel and was sucked in. After that, Britain was summoned by Merlin. It could be said that Wu-Ming had tricked himself. After that, he transmigrated again because of Morgan Le Fay's curse, causing Wu-Ming to leave that era and enter the space-time tunnel. Entering ancient Babylon was caused by the crazy Wu-Ming wantonly destroying the space-time tunnel, which was caused by external factors. The alternate world where Nasrik was located was brought in by Wu-Ming's curiosity. Therefore, strictly speaking, Wu-Ming could be considered to have transmigrated on his own initiative and was not as passive as before. Just as Wu-Ming was thinking, a light spot flickered not far ahead. As if they had a telepathic connection, Wu-Ming subconsciously nodded. The space-time door opened. Wu-Ming tilted his head and thought for a while before plunging in. Then, the space-time door closed. Wu-Ming felt as if he had returned to his mother's embrace. His entire body was filled with warmth. Wu-Ming had the thought of falling asleep again. However, this thought was not serious. After resisting his sleepiness, Wu-Ming opened his eyes. At this moment, Wu-Ming was in his human form in an indescribable substance. It was like water, gas, and fog. In short, these substances gave Wu-Ming a chaotic feeling. However, it made Wu-Ming feel very comfortable. Is this the root? Wu-Ming had guessed correctly. This was the root of the M-shaped moon world. The shining light spot from before was just a resonance between the M-shaped moon world and Wuming. Because of this resonance, Wuming opened the space-time door subconsciously. Then, how do I get out? After all, even if the root was Wuming's home, this home was too big. Moreover, Wuming had never been to this home before. He left this home after he was born. Do I have to stay here until I can enter and leave the root on my own? This feels good. The root is home, is the root's bloodline. Just as Wu Ming was thinking, he seemed to have received some news. It was as if someone was talking to him. Wu Ming opened his eyes wide in surprise. Are you for real? I don't mind. If I were to sleep here, I would have nothing to do. Wait. With that, Wu Ming transformed into his dragon form and fell asleep. The dream had begun. An ordinary village, a group of ordinary farmers, a group of ordinary playmates, and an ordinary war. Wu Ming seemed to have turned into a baby and was born in this village called Dong Remy. As if he was watching a movie, Wu Ming realized that time was passing by quickly. In the blink of an eye, Wu Ming was already 16 years old. However, the memories of these 16 years were still intact in Wu Ming's mind. Just now, what was that? 16 years of memories. That's unbelievable. Wu Ming now felt like he was watching a movie. He could only watch what he was doing and couldn't interfere with it. However, this body was indeed his. No matter what this body said or did, it was Wu Ming himself. Is this the process of falsifying an identity? Sigh. The restraining force acted too fast. I told you to wait. That's right. In the root, Wu Ming received the restraining force's greeting. Because Wu Ming signed a contract when he was born, but because he was immediately sent away from the Type Moon world, Wu Ming did not leave any traces in the Type Moon world. Although Wu Ming left his traces in the ancient Celtic, ancient British, and ancient Babylonian worlds, it was not because of the two restraining forces in the Type Moon world, but because Wu Ming joined it himself. Therefore, the planet's consciousness, Gaia, and the human consciousness, Aleia, created a new identity for Wu Ming to achieve his ultimate goal, heroic spirit. In this way, Wu Ming's main body was sleeping in the vortex of the root, absorbing the power of the root. Wu Ming's intention was to enter the heroic spirit palace prepared for Wu Ming by the restraining force to form a heroic spirit. However, Wu Ming had the right to leave the heroic spirit palace. After all, when they signed the contract, they signed an equal contract, so Wu Ming did not have to worry about being trapped in the heroic spirit palace. Besides, the heroic spirit palace could not trap the root dragon. Of course, it was an adult. The scene changed. The country Wu Ming was in was troubled by war for a long time. A girl who had a good relationship with Wu Ming came to chat with Wu Ming. Sadrik, you really are here. Looking at his blonde childhood sweetheart, Wu Ming said. Wu Ming put his hands behind his head, lying on a piece of hay, and said uninterestedly, what's wrong, Jahan? Why don't you pray for the Lord's arrival and listen to the voice of the Lord? Why are you looking for a lazy, false believer like me? That's right. In this village, Wu Ming was arranged to be a believer of the Lord because of the persecution of the war. Well, don't say that. Sadrik, I have something to tell you. Wu Ming sat up from the ground. Say it. I'm her childhood sweetheart. Jahan blushed a little. She sat next to Wu Ming and hugged her knees with both hands. Actually, I heard the voice of the Lord. Wu Ming didn't say anything. The Lord said, why do people fight? Wu Ming still didn't say anything. The Lord told me, I can stop this dispute. I want to stop this war. Wu Ming still didn't say anything. It's just a little scared. Is my ability enough? Let's do it together. The girl named Jahan looked at Wu Ming in surprise. I don't feel safe letting a village girl like you go to the battlefield. Since we used to take a bath together, I'll protect you. Wu Ming smiled at Jahan, showing his white teeth. What are you talking about? We took a bath when we were very young. It doesn't count. Jahan blushed. How can not count? Jahan, are you going to abandon me? I'm prepared to marry you when I grow up. Wu Ming showed a smug smile. WH. What? I'm not ready yet. No. The girl struggled to get up and ran into the distance. As Wu Ming laughed, The girl hid under a tree and put her hands over her heart. After the war, I can consider it. Chapter 57. After that, the boy and the girl left the village and headed for an important city in France. After a long and dangerous journey, the boy and the girl became a member of the army. The girl got the command of the army because God's revelation was verified. With the help of the boy's wisdom and advice, the girl won one battle after another. In the end, even without the boy, the girl kept winning. And because of the boy's outstanding military talent and powerful force, soon his status in the army rose and caught up with the girl. In this way, King Charles VII, who was helped by the girl and the boy, divided the French army into two parts and gave them to the boy and the girl. In this way, in less than 2 years, most of the invaders were driven out of France by the efforts of the boy and the girl. The people called the boy Celestial General Soderic and the girl Saint Joan. And when the invaders were driven out, the girl was captured and slandered as a witch. The British authorities decided to execute the girl in Rouen, France, by burning her at the stake. After the boy failed to get the support of the French nobles and the king, he left the army and went to rescue the girl alone. When the boy came to the execution ground, the girl was already deep in the sea of fire, and the boy directly rushed into the sea of fire and hugged the girl. In the end, the boy and the girl were burned together. Only then did France manage to drive out all the invaders from England. The French king conferred the title of a general to commemorate the boy's achievements. And the girl, after being slandered as a witch, was canonized as a saint in Vatican City hundreds of years later. At this moment, the boy opened his eyes with tears in his martyr's palace. Jehan, as if it was just a moment ago, Wu Ming's eyes were still filled with tears. As if it was a long time ago, Wu Ming's eyes were full of confusion. Seriously, if you want to make history a mere figurehead, then so be it. Why did you give me such an annoying identity? Wu Ming wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes. I said before that I won't cry anymore, but I cried again. Wu Ming laughed at himself. But I heard the last sentence clearly, Jehan. All right, let's see if there's any place where I need to be summoned. Wu Ming sat on his seat in the martyr's palace and closed his eyes to sense the surroundings. This could be considered Wu Ming's privilege. Other heroic spirits could only be summoned passively, but Wu Ming could choose to take the initiative. As for Wu Ming, he only needed an opportunity to appear on his own. Lord, Wu Ming opened his eyes. Yes, that's Jehan's voice. Since he didn't need to pay attention to the heroic spirit's body in the Valhalla, Wu Ming prepared to directly descend his consciousness into the servant's body. Wu Ming's body began to glow. Then, as if he had fallen asleep, Wu Ming closed his eyes. In a certain cemetery, there was a middle-aged man with 3 scars on his face. His name was Lion Jieli. He was a magician and was holding a ceremony. Thy body shall be my life, and my fate shall be thy sword. In accordance with the Holy Grail's request, if you are willing to abide by this principle, then respond. I hereby swear, I am the one who becomes all the good in the world. I am the one who suppresses all the evil in the world. Thou, bound by the 3 spirits of words for 7 days, will of self-restraint come forth. Guardian of Libra, the magic formation in front of him produced a large amount of storms that constantly impacted everything around him. Lion Jia Li raised his arms to cover his eyes and head. After a while, the smoke slowly dispersed, revealing the person standing in the magic formation. A knight wearing a white armor with red patterns and holding a red magic sword stood there. The knight's helmet began to disintegrate and scattered around the armor like a machine, revealing a pretty face with a single golden ponytail. There was an unruly smile on her pretty face. I ask you, are you my master? However, Lion Jelly in front of the female knight didn't speak. Instead, he looked at her with a shocked expression. The female knight was a little puzzled and looked at Lion Jelly fiercely. Hey, say something, bastard. He is surprised that he can summon 2 servants at once. Mordred. What? A voice came from behind Mordred. Mordred didn't seem to know that there was someone behind her. She hurriedly jumped away and raised a magic sword in her hand. You are How is that possible? As if she saw an incredible existence, Mordred cried out in surprise. Wu Ming was wearing a silver white armor. He followed Mordred's example and opened up his dragon head helmet. Long time no see, Mordred. To Wu Ming's surprise, Mordred was summoned in this Holy Grail war, and she was with him. No, it should be, I followed Mordred here. So that's how it is. That opportunity is you, little Mordred. Don't give me such a disgusting name. What the hell is going on? Villo theranced. Although Mordred's tone was still bad, she put down the weapon in her hand. What? Is this the Villo Knight, known as the Silver Dragon of Britain? Lion Jelly on the side was very surprised. No, Master, I summoned Sodric Villo Ste as a saber. Huh? Sodric? Are you kidding me? Mordred obviously didn't believe it. Could it be that the legend of Heavenly Commander Sodlek is true? Jie said. What is the legend, Master? Mordred asked. Lion Jelly swallowed and looked at Wu Ming nervously. Legend has it that the young Sodlek, who joined the army together with Joan of Arc, became the highest-ranking general in France in less than 2 years with his innate martial prowess and strategic command ability. He was loved and respected by the French people. But Lion Jelly didn't dare to say it. After all, if the person in front of him was really Sodric, it would be taboo. No problem, Master. Please continue. Afterward, Lion Jelly continued. Before joining the army, Sodric was ambushed by the British royal family. In the Alps, he battled with the demonic dragon transformed from the legendary Silver Dragon of Britain, Vero Sealanthud. Sodric killed the demonic dragon with his bravery and intellect. He obtained the armor and weapons of the demonic dragon's guardian and bathed in the dragon's blood. His physical strength was greatly enhanced, and he could block sharp weapons with his body. However, at some point in time, rumors began to circulate among the people that Sodric had been possessed by a demonic dragon and that his body had been taken over. That's why Sodric was burned together with Joan of Arc, who was sentenced to be the saintess at that time. Huh? Are you serious? Hey, who are you? Mordred shouted at Wu Ming. Of course, I am me, Mordred. Villo is me, Sodric is me, and the demon dragon is me. Wu Ming's eyes were glowing red, looking at Mordred and Lion Jelly. Lion Jelly suddenly regretted using the round table fragment as a holy relic to summon. Looking at the situation, he might die before seeing the Black Servant. Chapter 58. Mordred protected Leo Jelly and pointed her sword at Wu Ming with both hands. Wu Ming looked at the two with a smile. Both sides were on the verge of fighting. Then, Wu Ming spoke. Okay, I'm kidding. After all, the magician behind you is not only your master, but also my master. Speaking of this, Lion Jelly realized that the other party had also been calling him master all this time. Looking at his hand, Lion Jelly exclaimed in surprise. Are you for real? I actually have 6 command incantations. Wu Ming and Mordred both looked at Leo Jelly's hand. Leo Jelly's left and right hands had a red pattern similar to blood clots. Each pattern was composed of 3 lines, and the thickness and shape of each line were different. That is the command seal. Normally, there should only be 3 command incantations, but having 6 command incantations meant that Jelly had 2 servants. Well, for the time being, just think of me as a reincarnated Villo Knight. That's it. Please advise me, Master. And you can perceive the connection between us, can't you, Mordred? Yes. Mordred didn't say anything, but she was very unhappy. After removing the sword and armor in a very unhappy manner, he turned around and said to Jelly, My real name is Mordred. Nice to meet you, Master. Then Wu Ming also officially reported his name. My real name is Sodlek. Please take care of me, Master. Please advise me. My name is Leo Jelly. Leo Jelly said helplessly. Let's not talk about the 2 servants you summoned. You actually summoned a knight of the round table in this place. Are you a necromancer? Mordred crossed her arms and said with a look of disgust. Yes, my childhood was accompanied by corpses. Speaking of which, King Arthur's son Mordred is actually a girl. Hey, Master, You'd better not say that word. Otherwise, I don't know what Mordred will do. Wu Ming interrupted Liu Jie, looking at Mordred, who was looking at him coldly. Liu Jie swallowed his saliva. I know. So what is your wish? Liu Jie first looked at Mordred. Of course, I want to challenge you to pull out that sword, but I think with my qualifications, I will definitely pull it out. Mordred said with a proud face. How is that possible? Wu Ming accidentally laughed. What did you say? Villo, believe it or not, I'll kill you. After saying that, Mordred was about to condense a sword and slash at Wu Ming. The position of king has already been decided. Mordred, it doesn't mean that just because you have the right to be king, you can pick her up. Jie on the side. Why do you say that? You also know that I was a knight during King Yosef's time. As the strongest knight at that time, King Yosef naturally told me about the next king. Wu Ming looked at Liu Jie, then looked at Mordred and continued. To be precise, even if I try to pull out the sword, I could pull it out. The reason why I couldn't pull it out was because Merlin cast a spell, making everyone who tried to pull it out at that time unable to do so. Only my king could pull it out. Hearing this, Liu Jie was dumbfounded. What? It was Merlin who interfered. Mordred expressed that she was very angry. However, to pull out that sword, having the qualifications of a king is the most important thing. At that time in Camelot, other than my king and me, no one else had the qualifications of a king. However, if you win the Holy Grail, you can try. Mordred, I have to tell you, you are not inferior to my king. My king didn't accept you because she knew you couldn't bear the fate of Britain. These words caused Mordred to fall into silence. Then, as the first knight of King Arthur, the Villo, and as the general of France in the 100 Years' War, what do you wish for? Liu Jie asked. Wu Ming smiled. I participated in the Holy Grail War this time because I have something to do with a servant, so strictly speaking, I don't have a wish. Huh? Liu Jie cried out in surprise. After all, in Liu Jie's view, whether it was the Knight Villo or the General of France, they were all tragic figures. The former became a demonic dragon because of the curse of the Black Magician and was sealed. The latter was slandered by the British royal family and was rumored to be a demonic dragon. In the end, he was burned to death with Joan of Arc. Therefore, in Liu Jie's view, it was a bit unrealistic for Wu Ming to say that he had no wish. Well, after all, I haven't died, so I don't have any wish that could be fulfilled with the Holy Grail. What? Liu Jie looked at Wu Ming in surprise. This time, even Mordred looked at Wu Ming with a surprised face. After all, it was strange to become a heroic spirit without dying. Well, after all, I'm not a human, so I didn't die. I'll tell you this story when I have the chance in the future. Shouldn't we go and meet the other Red Masters first? Yes, the supervisor of the Holy Church and the Red Master sent me a message before, asking me to go to a church somewhere to find him. Then, let's go, Master. In this way, under Mordred's complaint and Liu Jie's helpless expression, the three of them began to move toward the designated location. Sighisora, Romania, a small church on a mountain. Liu Jie walked in alone. Wu Ming and Mordred both turned into spirits and followed behind Liu Jie. After entering the church, the first thing he saw was a white-haired young priest. The agreed place is here, right? Did you call me here? Although it was a question, it was a tone of certainty. The priest heard someone come in and turn his head. Nice to meet you. I'm Shiro Kodomine. White hair, dark skin, a black priest's outfit, a cross ornament hanging on his chest. This was a person who, whether it was his voice or his personality, would give people a feeling of peace. I'm Liu Jie. I'll skip this self-introduction. Well, then the servants around you are a bit abnormal. Did you find Sodric? Liu Jie thought. Wu Ming told Liu Jie that he just followed Mordred to the world. It was also because of his own skills, so he didn't need Liu Jie to provide much magic power. He just needed to maintain the contract. After all, without a contract, the servants couldn't appear. The servant I summoned is a little special. Forgive me for my lack of manners. Of course, no problem. This is also your privacy. Mordred, who noticed that something was wrong, removed her spirit form and revealed her body in full armor. Through the contract, Mordred sent a message to Leo Gielli. Annoying aura. Let me be like this for the time being. Leo Gielli looked at Mordred and didn't speak. Wu Ming also appeared. He was clad in white full-body armor, a helmet that resembled a dragon's head, and a cape that was used as a decoration. He gave off a rather reliable feeling. Wu Ming and Mordred stood on the left and right side of Leo Gielli. Then, I'll come out here too, Feng Shiro said. A woman in black clothes who looked very sinister appeared behind Feng Shiro. This sinister woman was also a servant. I'm Assassin. My real name is Semiramis. She gave Wu Ming a feeling of seeing Morgan Le Fay. Immediately, Feng Shiro and Leo Gielli sat on the chair in the church and began a short conversation. After that, Leo Gielli said that he wanted to act alone. So, you're not going to act with other masters? Are you not used to group battles? Feng Shiro asked. Yes, and I have enough power here, so I'm not going to act with you, Leo Gielli said calmly. After that, Leo Gielli got up and walked toward the door. I wish you a prosperous martial arts, Mr. Leo Gielli. Leo Gielli opened the door and walked out. Thank you for your blessing. Hung dash. The door closed. Chapter 59. After walking out of the church, Wu Ming and Mordred entered spirit form. How is it? Did he chase after us? Leo Gielli asked. No, but you can rest assured because this guy is super strong. Mordred conveyed her words to Leo Gielli through the contract. You really think highly of me, Mordred, Wu Ming teased. Although I don't want to admit it, if this guy still has the power of a knight, we will win this Holy Grail war, Master. Oh, although I know that King Arthur's first knight is really powerful, Saber, is Sodric really that strong? After all, from the conversation with Leo Gielli, he knew that the number of times the knight Villo in King Arthur's history was not many, and he was basically the commander. Of course, Master, this guy can be said to be in existence that even my father may not be able to defeat. Although I don't want to admit it, the Villo is indeed the strongest in Britain. Looking at Leo Gielli's shocked expression, Wu Ming said, Well, let's not talk about the combat power first. After all, I came as the French General Sodric, so it is inevitable that there will be some differences in ability. Is that so? Then this name is a problem. Both of you are Saber. Master, please call me General. General? That sounds like the French word for general, right? All right, I'll call Sodlek General from now on, and Mordred Saber. Why? I also want a different name. Sure enough, Mordred is still a child, Wu Ming thought. Let's not talk about this first. Why don't you stay, Master? Mordred asked. Leo Gielli was stunned, then said, Didn't you two not want to stay? The minority obeys the majority, so let's leave, After all, he's a servant with Queen Mother's aura, which means he's not someone you can trust. Mordred said angrily. Mordred is right. Semiramis is not inferior to Morgan Le Fay in terms of methods, intelligence, and ruthlessness. It was because of Morgan Le Fay's scheme that I revealed my true form. So, General, your true identity is a dragon. Leo Gielli was a little surprised. Yes, Mordred, you should know that King Yusef and Merlin once summoned the legendary dragon, and that was me. No way. Are you for real? That legendary dragon that has never appeared before is you. Mordred couldn't remain calm anymore. Of course, after I transformed back into a dragon, due to Morgan Le Fay's curse, I, who was unable to transform into a human, was corrected by history and brought away from that era. That's true. As a top-level fantasy breed dragon, it should be impossible to live in King Arthur's era, unless it's a sub-dragon or something like that. Leo Gielli touched his chin and analyzed. After all, Wu Ming's dragon form was mysterious in that era where the gods had passed away, so it was naturally excluded by the era. Unfortunately, Wu Ming was the root dragon, so the era couldn't do anything to Wu Ming at all. If the summoning time hadn't been shortened by Morgan Le Fay, Wu Ming wouldn't have to leave at all. Well, you guys can think of it as that. Wu Ming said embarrassedly. Just like that. While the three of them were talking, Jelly the lion took the two servants and left the church. In the church, Fengshiro Yinfeng and Semiramis began their discussion. It seems like we've been alerted, Master. It's not my fault. Semiramis laughed. If the other party has two servants, it's not easy to get rid of them. Semiramis cheerfully said something that no one could understand. After all, Jie Jelly was the master of the red team. Yet he actually thought of ambushing his own people. The other party is also pursuing the Holy Grail and is now on our side. Besides, even if it's an ambush, it's unlikely to succeed. Fengshiro said with a warm attitude. I didn't expect the other party to summon two servants. Let's not talk about the possibility. Does he have a way to provide magic? After all, the magic supply of two servants is not something that anyone can control. Semiramis said, maybe it's a miracle. After all, the Holy Grail War is not short of miracles. The young man said. Then Semiramis continued to ask, did you see the other party's real name, Master? Yes, I saw the real name of one of the servants. The other servant has a hidden noble artifact or skill. Oh, then what's the real name that you identified, Satyr? Sodric, the general known as the Divine Warrior in the 100 Years' War between England and France. Oh, if it's that one, we can't act rashly. Semiramis said. That's right. I saw the special ability of the servant named Sodric, Mystic Dragon. It seems that the slander of the world has become a curse that accompanies this general who saved the nation. Well, it seems that we have to finish the courtyard quickly. The ritual should be completed in a day or two, right? Well, of course, at this moment, a brown-haired, bearded man dressed in a greenish-brown British costume with a cape draped over his left shoulder shouted as he barged in. Horse! Give me a horse. I will exchange my whole kingdom for it. What are you doing? Castor. That was Semiramis who was scared. Oh. The Empress of Assyria. So what are you doing here? The berserker went berserk. What? On the other side, because Wu Ming said that he was going to find the servant he was looking for, he separated from Jelly and Mordred with his own skill. Really? Why did you say, I have solo action, so I'll leave first? You think you're so great just because you have solo action? Mordred, who was in spirit form, was wearing a pair of shorts, leather boots, a bra that barely covered her breasts, and a red jacket. She was walking with a displeased expression on her face. Don't say that. After all, it's General's wish. Besides, aren't you wearing the clothes that you really want to wear? Jelly walked beside Mordred and observed the surrounding terrain. We are in the enemy's base, and no one is ambushing us. After that, there were a few people in the shadow in front of them. They were cyborgs that looked basically the same. Behind the cyborgs stood several large stone golems. Not only in front, but there were also enemies on the roof and behind them. Ha! As expected of my master, you even used yourself as bait. Mordred patted Jelly's back and laughed happily. Ahem, I'll leave the golems to you, and the cyborgs to me, okay? Jelly coughed a few times. Of course. Chapter 60. At night, after separating from Leo and Mordred, Wu Ming embarked on a journey to find Joan of Arc. I always feel that there's something wrong with that priest, as if he saw through me. Wu Ming walked on the road, thinking about what happened in the church just now. Forget it. The most important thing now is to find Jean. She must have appeared as the ruler. Since it's a daily routine, she will definitely come here, Tulifas. What I need to do now is to set up some detection magic. Wu Ming couldn't help but show a proud smile. Fortunately, Dragonist also descended into this body as a noble phantasm. After finding a hidden place, Wu Ming opened Golden Ripple, reached into his hand, and took out a large number of scrolls. I remember Yoel and the others gave me a scroll with reverse detection magic. Sure enough, after picking and choosing for a while, Wu Ming found the scrolls. That kind of scroll could block the opponent's detection magic, which was the so-called false eye with the ability to see through the truth. Wu Ming planned to set up that kind of scroll in many places. Well, although there are many skills in the game that can detect this kind of magic, I believe that unless it's a servant's special skill, It's impossible for a magician to detect this kind of magic. Then, Wuming began to run all over Tulifas. Fortunately, Wuming had the skill magic, otherwise it would be unrealistic to set up those scrolls in one night. After all, the servant's body also limited some of Wuming's skills. For example, Wuming forgot all the skills related to Lune's magic. The reason why he didn't forget the magic in Yggdrasil was because those magic were not the products of the moon world, and the servant's body couldn't make them forget. Although it's interesting, the servant's body is really inconvenient. After all, Wuming was not a dead hero. Being able to walk in the world again was a rare benefit for those heroes. Who would care about forgetting their skills because of their class? Huh, is Master and Mortar done? Just as Wuming was setting up the magic scroll, he detected that Jieli and Mordred were ambushed by the Yugamirene side. However, this ambush was only a probing attack by the cyborgs and the marionettes. Right now, Jieli and Mordred were heading towards Wuming. Wuming sat on a big tree and looked up at the starry sky, waiting for Jieli and Mordred. The starry sky in Nasric time is still the best. That's why, as long as we win the battle, it's fine even if we have to use our teeth. This was Mordred. Where did you come from, Berserker? Seriously, this was Lion Jieli. Yo, did you have fun, Saber? Wuming jumped down from the tree and waved at Mordred. How could it be fun? Those magic puppets can't even take a beating. Mordred shrugged. Looks like it's a test by the other side. Well, General, have you found the servant you're looking for? Is she really not a member of the black side? Jieli asked. Not yet. But didn't I say that she will only become a ruler, not a servant of both sides? Wuming said, it better be true. If she's not a ruler, but a black servant, I will definitely beat her until she pisses her pants. Umph. Mordred turned her head away fiercely. Actually, I've been curious for a long time. I remember in King Arthur's legend, Mordred and Avillo had a good relationship. Before Lion Jieli could finish speaking, a crimson red scarlet thunder demon sword was pressed against his neck. Who would have a good relationship with him? Be careful if you keep talking nonsense. I know, put down the sword first, Jieli said embarrassedly. Hearing this, Mordred put down the sword. Ha! You're right, Master. Mordred and I have a good relationship. As for why Mordred is so mean to me, it's just a matter of bloodline. Wuming smiled and patted Jieli's back. It was rare that Mordred didn't refute. She just turned her head away. Seeing this, Jieli knew that it must be another story, so he didn't ask anything more. Well, where are you going next? Wuming asked. Back to the stronghold to rest. What about you? Do you want to continue looking for the ruler? Of course, then that's it. If there's anything, contact me through the contract. After that, Wuming's spirit body disappeared. Let's go, Saber. I know. On the other side, Wuming and Jieli just separated from Mordred, and Wuming received the news of Jieli. Oh, the red berserker went berserk? He's coming here, so is he going to attack the black team's base? As expected of a berserker. What are you going to do? Jieli asked. You tell the priest, I'll go and see, Wuming said. Understood. After that, Jieli cut off the connection. Wuming, on the other hand, went to the direction that Lion Jieli said to meet up with the Red Archer and Red Rider, who came to support the Red Berserker. In the forest near the Yugdamarinia's castle, a tall man wearing prisoner-restraining iron armor was constantly moving forward. He allowed a terrifying laugh as he spoke. Ha ha, oppressor, oppressor. On the tree behind him, there were only two figures, a man and a woman. The woman wore a green-brown dress with black garter socks, long green hair to her waist, beast ears on her head, and a beast tail behind her. The man wore a Greek-style light warrior suit, a red scarf fluttering behind him, green short straight hair fluttering in the wind, and a wisp of bangs fluttering in front of his forehead. It wasn't until the Red Berserker was temporarily intercepted by the enemy's golem that the two began to talk. You think you can only abandon him, Ryder? You think it's strange that you can persuade him, Big Sister? My name is Atlanta. Don't call me Big Sister Achilles, the woman who claimed to be Atlantis said. This is just a more intimate name. Don't mind it. In this regard, The person called Achilles just smiled. Then Achilles stopped laughing and said, "Since there's a chance, let's see those guys from the black team." "Well, but if this guy uses noble phantasm, retreat immediately," Atlantis said. "Understood," Achilles said. "You are Red Archer and Red Rider." Suddenly, a voice came from behind the two. Chapter 61. "Who is it?" Achilles shouted and instantly condensed a cross spear and stabbed backward. Atlanta also drew her bow and aimed at Wu Ming, who was behind Achilles. "Sorry, I came here without telling you. I hope I didn't scare you." Wu Ming held the spear that Achilles stabbed with one hand and raised the other hand as if he was waving. "You are Saber on our side?" After all, Feng Shiro had previously informed the two through the contract that there would be a saber coming to them. As for why he said it, as if there were other red sabers, Achilles and Atlanta didn't care anymore. "Well, it's the first time we met. I'm Sodric, summoning with the saber profession. I'm Atlanta, summoning with the archer profession. I'm Achilles, summoning with the rider profession. I didn't expect you to be Saber. I thought you were assassin," Achilles said with some pride. "So what's the situation now?" Wu Ming didn't care and asked the two. "As you can see, Berserker is still crazy," Achilles said. "I remember that Berserker's real name is Spartacus, worthy of the famous rebel." Looking at the crazy appearance, Wu Ming couldn't help but sigh. "By the way, have you seen your master?" Achilles ignored Wu Ming and asked Atlanta. "No, I've only seen Semiramis and his master, the priest." "Me too. The circuits are connected, and the order has been issued, but I don't see the person. This is considered abnormal." Achilles looked at his hand and felt the connection of the magic circuits, and said so. "It makes sense that the magician is hiding, but it makes people feel that he is timid," Atlanta said indifferently. "Saber, where is your master?" Achilles asked. "My master didn't move with the other masters. We moved alone, so there wasn't any abnormal situation like yours. My master, on the other hand, looks like a fiend, but surprisingly, he's not a bad guy." Wu Ming waved his hand. "Is that so?" Then, the three of them didn't say anything. After a while, after Spartacus defeated these blocking puppets, a black servant appeared in front of them. "That doesn't seem to be a lancer. Is it a rider? Both of our riders like close combat." Wu Ming looked at Achilles, who condensed a cross spear. "Of course, I prefer to carry a spear myself than riding a chariot on the battlefield," Achilles said with a smile. That's a pity. I don't like war." Wu Ming said. "Here, it." Atlanta interrupted the conversation between the two. The Black Rider raised a spear and seemed to have released his real name. It passed through Spartacus' leg, and Spartacus' leg was forcibly spiritualized. Immediately afterward, the Black Rider's master and servant came over, led by a green-haired middle-aged man riding a horse. "Is that Vlad III?" Wu Ming said lightly. This was what Wu Ming learned from the exchange of intelligence between Liu Jiejie and Yin Fengshiro. It should be right," Atlantis said. The Black Rider raised his hand, and a large amount of enchanted soil wrapped around Spartacus, and then several spikes penetrated Spartacus. At this point, the Red Rider's Berserker was captured by the Black Rider. It seemed that the other side didn't have the intention to attack together. They only sent two servants who hadn't fought before to attack Wu Ming's position. "One for each of us, Rider." Wu Ming took out the meteor silver from the ripple and used magic to manifest the silver armor, and said to Achilles, Well, really, they only sent two servants. They really don't put me in their eyes," Achilles sneered. "Then I'll cover you from the rear," Atlantis said. "Well, I'll leave it to you, Archer. It can't be helped, big sister." With that, Wu Ming and Achilles walked to the tree in front of them and looked at the Black Rider servants. "Is it Saber and Berserker?" Achilles said. One of them was a silver-haired man wearing black and silver armor and holding a long sword. The other was a pink-haired girl wearing a wedding dress and holding a hammer. Achilles just wanted to say something, but Wu Ming suddenly rushed forward and rushed to the Black Rider's saber, swordsman. "Hey, you can't be like this. That's the opponent I want," Achilles complained. Wu Ming didn't know if he heard it or not, But at this moment, he had already started a hand-to-hand battle with the Black Rider saber, swordsman. Maybe because of Wu Ming's fierce attack, the Black Rider saber had been retreating. "What's wrong, Black Rider? Is this all you can do?" The Black Rider didn't speak, but he kept waving his sword. This feeling, is this a special attack? When Wu Ming fought with the Black Rider, he felt that the other side had a sense of restraint. Wu Ming quickly hit the Black Rider's saber, swordsman, back a distance. Then, an arrow penetrated the atmosphere and hit the Black Rider's body, nailing it to the big tree behind him. It was an arrow shot by the Red Rider's archer. Oh! Hearing the sound, Wu Ming looked at Achilles and found that he was injured by the Black Rider. Achilles was a hero in the Trojan War and had many noble phantoms. Because Achilles was burned by the heavenly fire after he was born, soaked in the river Styx, he obtained an immortal body. Therefore, if you want to hurt him, you must have divinity or god-killing weapons. From this point of view, the Black Rider's archer was a follower related to God. The Black Rider's berserker, went to fight against Atlanta. When Wu Ming looked at the Black Rider's saber again, he raised the big sword in his hand as if he was going to release his noble phantoms. The big sword began to emit light. It looks like a special attack against the dragon's noble phantoms. Wu Ming felt a sense of threat from it, although it was not big. Is your master in such a hurry to let you release your noble phantoms? Then come on. Although the other party was attacking the dragon's noble phantoms, Wu Ming's root dragon was not a simple dragon, so the noble phantoms that attacked the dragon's noble phantoms did not have much effect on Wu Ming. However, Wu Ming did not dare to exaggerate. He posed and prepared to release his noble phantoms. Just when Wu Ming thought that the other party was going to release his noble phantoms, the other party suddenly knelt on the ground like a broken string, and the light of his noble phantoms disappeared. Then, the Black Rider's saber spiritualized and left. Is there an internal conflict? It was obvious that the other party was interrupted by another command spell. There was no doubt that there were internal disagreements. After noticing that Atlanta had also retreated, Wu Ming knew that this time's test was almost over. Ignoring Achilles, who was declaring war with the Black Rider, Wu Ming also disappeared in his spiritual form. This was because the detection magic he set up had found the person Wu Ming was looking for. On the way Wu Ming was looking for Jean, on the other side of the forest, the Black Rider who had left early was leading a brown-haired, red-eyed android out of the forest. Jean, on the other hand, came to the place where the Red and Black Riders were fighting and began to investigate. At this moment, a revelation came. Cedric? Jean recalled the person who appeared in the scene just now in surprise. It was obvious that this was her childhood sweetheart, Cedric. Jean put down the puppet fragment in her hand and began to run on the other side of the forest. Chapter 62. On Wu Ming's side, as if they were discovered, the surrounding soil gathered and formed golems, surrounding the Black Rider and the android, including Wu Ming. Really, I shouldn't have followed you guys. AI, 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 AI. Red Saber, why are you here? Are you here to help us? The rider from the black team naturally voiced his doubts. Wu Ming didn't know what to say. He just waved his sword gently. The dexterous sword energy destroyed the golems surrounding the three people. Wu Ming turned to look at the Black Rider and the android. He saw the hope of survival in the eyes of the android. Wu Ming smiled. For this kind of guy who resisted fate, Wu Ming didn't hate Wu Ming. Wu Ming reached out, opened the ripple, and took out a bag from it. This was not an infinite backpack, just an ordinary bag. Wu Ming had to admit the advantages of game items. The collision damage of the outside world would not affect the things in the bag in the slightest. It would only reduce the durability. If the durability became 0, the bag would disappear. After filling more than a dozen bottles of red potions, Wu Ming threw the bag and a magic scroll to the Black Rider. After a moment of confusion, the Black Rider caught the bag and scroll. "What is this?" he asked. "There is a potion in the bag to heal this android. The scroll is a magic that can temporarily block the perception of the command curse. No, it's a magic item. Take this android and leave quickly. A servant is coming," Wu Ming said lightly. Oh, you're a good man. My name is Astolfo. What about you? Wu Ming said in his heart. No wonder. Astolfo, one of the 12 warriors of Charlemagne, was a rational person. He looked at the other party's outfit. The upper body was okay, a light night outfit, a fluffy cloak, but the lower body was a short skirt, suspenders, and long night boots. As expected of a rational person, I'm an enemy's servant. Is it okay for you to tell me your real name? Wu Ming joked. As if he just realized something, the servant named Astolfo smiled nervously and awkwardly. My real name is Codric, a French general. Just call me that for now. Wu Ming looked at Astolfo helplessly. Not bad, don't you think? Astolfo looked at the androids. The androids didn't come back to their senses. After all, if they didn't hear it wrong, the servant in front of them gave Astolfo a potion to heal him. Yes, the android said tiredly. At this moment, a pot-bellied middle-aged man with a black saber caught up from behind. Stop, the middle-aged man shouted. Then, he lowered his head and panted heavily with his hands on his knees. Damn it, why did you send me to do this kind of task? Gold didn't realize Wu Ming's existence. It wasn't until he saw his servant holding a sword and looking ahead vigilantly that he noticed Wu Ming's existence. Red servant, why are you here? This Gold seemed to be frightened, and he quickly ordered his servant. Quick, Siegfried, take him down. It could be seen that the master's spirit has been greatly stimulated, and he directly exposed his servant's real name. Is that so, Siegfried? No wonder I have a bad feeling. I'm Codric, the other saber of the red team. Nice to meet you. The bad feeling that Wu Ming said was the effect of the dragon's special attack. After all, Wu Ming had the dragon attribute. Coupled with Codric's skill, Magic Dragon EX, it was inevitable that he would feel uncomfortable facing Siegfried. What? Another saber? But the one for before is also saber. Why do you have two sabers? Gold exclaimed. Wu Ming knew that Gold was talking about Mordred, but he didn't say anything and said to Gold, Don't worry, after tonight, I won't participate in the battle between the red team and the black team. I'm an extra servant summoned by the red team, so let me fight with you for the time being. In that case, we'll go first, Bye-bye, Astolfo said and began to run to the other side with the cyborgs. What? No, wait. Wu Ming waved his sword in front of Gold, which suddenly scared him. Just stay there obediently. Although I won't attack the masters, I hope that you'll stay there obediently. Damn it. In that case, there's no need to worry. Siegfried, go. He yelled hysterically. Siegfried flew forward, holding his sword, and slashed at Wu Ming. Clang! Wu Ming took out his meteor silver and blocked Siegfried's demon sword. The same silver-white sword, a holy sword and a demon sword, constantly collided with each other like a hurricane. That caused Gold to be sent flying, his head hit a tree, and he fainted. Because of the presence of the master, Siegfried didn't fight too much with Wu Ming, and he paid attention to stay away from the master. Although Wu Ming wouldn't take the initiative to attack other masters, he didn't care about that. Because Siegfried couldn't go all out, but because Siegfried had the attribute of the dragon's special attack, the two were tied for the time being. With a feint, Wu Ming and Siegfried moved away and stood facing each other. You're really like a machine. This sentence made Siegfried's expression waver. The reason why Wu Ming compared Siegfried to a machine was not because Siegfried didn't know how to think, but because Wu Ming could see that Siegfried didn't have any desires. Coupled with the story of Siegfried in the Nibelungen route, Wu Ming said that Siegfried was like a machine. You're a hero. Don't you have anything you want to do? Even if you're a machine, you should have a wish. Wu Ming held his sword with one hand and put the other hand on his waist. Siegfried didn't speak because he didn't know what he wanted to do. Just then, Astolfo came back with the android he took away. Not good. Codric, he's dying. What should we do? Astolfo held the android who was constantly coughing up blood and had fainted and asked Wu Ming anxiously, Are you an idiot? Didn't I give you the potion to treat him? Forget it. Let me take a look. With that, Wu Ming walked towards the two. As he walked, Wu Ming glanced at Siegfried. Think about it. What do you really want to do? What I want to do? My wish is to make my own decision to do something. Siegfried muttered. Wuming took out a bottle of potion from the golden ripples and poured it all into the android's mouth. The android's body instantly emitted a green light. It seems that the potion is effective, but it only treats the symptoms and not the root cause. Wuming touched his chin, but this was only temporary. This android had a defect in his body, which caused the blood vessels in his body to rupture and bleed. The potion only temporarily treated the injuries in his body. What do you mean, Cedric? Astolfo asked. It means that he won't live long, and it's very likely that he will face the crisis of death every day. After all, this is the racial defect of the androids. The one who caused the injury to the android was himself. This was the racial defect of the androids, which made them unable to survive outside the incubator. After all, the healing potion couldn't eliminate the racial defect. Then what can you do? Astolfo looked at Wuming with tears in his eyes. Wuming turned his head away helplessly. Unless I change his race, I can't do anything about it. If only I was summoned as a caster. If Wuming was summoned as a caster, he could use the uninscribed book and the staff of Anziwergen. Although Wuming could also use the uninscribed book as a saber, he couldn't use high-level magic because of his rank. It was just like in the game Yggdrasil. There was a sorcerer who used Perfect Warrior to equip the sorcerer's equipment, but as a result, he couldn't use the sorcerer's skills and items. Wuming's items were all game items. In addition to the racial conversion items, there were healing potions in the game for injuries, detoxification items for poisons, and holy items for curses, but many of those items couldn't be used by his current rank. Apart from those items, Wuming didn't have any items to remedy racial defects. After all, racial defects were common in the game, and customer service wouldn't specifically prepare items to overcome racial defects for a certain race. Just like Satya's vampire race, Satya had all the weaknesses of vampires, but those weaknesses were all weakened or protected by item effects, and they couldn't be eliminated completely. Although there were androids in Nasaric, the androids in the game had no defects. In this regard, Wuming couldn't do anything about it. You could try the power of the Holy Grail, or ask its creator. I think if it's the one who made it, there should be a way to prolong its life. At that moment, Joan of Arc, who Wuming was looking for, came here. Chapter 63. Jean stood on a stone and watched all of this. After seeing Wuming, Jean said in a trembling voice, Cedric, is it really you? Yo, Jean. Wuming waved at Jean and smiled. A gust of wind blew, and Jean flew over and hugged Wuming tightly. Cedric, Jean buried her head in Wuming's arms, crying, wanting to say something, but she didn't know what to say. Jean, Wuming also hugged Jean tightly. At this moment, no one spoke. After a while, Astolfo raised his hand and said, Don't hug him. He's dying. Hearing this, Wuming and Jean hurriedly separated. Jean's face was red, and she turned her head away in embarrassment. Wuming looked at Astolfo fiercely, but Wuming also knew the severity of the situation and didn't mean to blame Astolfo. I have a way to save him. At this moment, Siegfried spoke. You have a way? As far as Wuming knew, Siegfried didn't have any life-saving items in Song of the Nibelungen, so Wuming asked, Yes, I have a way. With that said, Siegfried put his hand in front of himself. Wuming and others knew what Siegfried was going to do at this moment, and they didn't say anything. Only Jean said, Please wait a minute. You can't, Siegfried. With Jean's character and her identity as the supervisor of the Holy Grail War, she won't let Siegfried choose this path. Joan of Arc sincerely cared about the masters and servants of the Holy Grail War. But Siegfried didn't want to listen to Jean. He inserted his hand into his abdomen above his abdomen, avoided the ribs, and took out his heart. This is my wish to help him. With my own will, Siegfried took his heart, placed it on the android's chest, and pushed it into his body. When the heart entered the body, it was like an object entering the water's surface, causing ripples. Please, Cedric, Siegfried disappeared like a hero. Soon, the android with Siegfried's heart woke up. His red eyes were full of confusion, and he looked at Wuming, Jean, and Astolfo with confused eyes. You are saved. Siegfried gave you his heart. and now your body has become a normal person. After hearing this sentence, he touched his chest uncertainly, then said very slowly, I live? Yes. Now you just need to give yourself a name. I will take care of the rest for you. Fong Xin, Wu Ming said sincerely to him. Later, Siegfried left Siegfried's heart, Siegfried, and the android with Siegfried left, leaving the unconscious Fried. Soon, someone found the unconscious Fried and took him away. Tulifa's Myrenia's citadel. There were many figures gathered in the hall. Some were servants, and some were masters. Vlad III, who had met Wu Ming once, was sitting on the throne, and next to him stood the team leader of Yugdamarinia, Danik Priestone Yugdamarinia. This was a young man who looked like he was in his 20s or 30s, but in fact he had lived for nearly 100 years. He had purple pupils and long dark green hair tied into a ponytail with a black hairband. He was wearing a black and white uniform of the Yugdamarinia race and a white cloak. He looked at Fried, who was devastated, and said, So, what the hell is going on? Fried Mujik Yugdamarinia. Why did Saber disappear? I don't know. I was in a coma. Why did this happen? Fried seemed to be devastated, and he couldn't speak properly. At this time, Blackcaster said, I extracted a trace of the image from the magic crystals on the scene. Can you play it, Avispern? Vlad III asked. Yes. A voice without a trace of emotion came from under Avispern's mask. Through the magic projection, everyone saw an incomplete picture, but they already knew the specific reason for Saber's disappearance. I didn't expect Saber to choose to give up her life for the sake of that android. Black Berserker Frankenstein's master, Kals Fulvig Umarinia, said, In short, the current situation is very unfavorable for us. Although we captured the Red Berserker, we lost Saber, our strongest combat power, Assassin is out of control, and Ryder has defected. The Red Team may also know about our situation, Avispern said. So, how about using the command spell to recall Ryder? Cowles asked. It's useless. Ryder's magical power is under the bonus of Noble Phantasm. Even if we use the command spell, there'll be 2 of them. It's not worth it at all, Black Rider's master, Selenikai Esker Yudamarinia said. I will personally look for Ryder. Please rest assured, Patriarch. Okay, Fried, do you have any information about the 2 sabers of the Red Team? Titanic asked. He didn't have much hope. He just wanted to ask. The result was beyond his expectations. Yes, there is information. There are 2 red sabers, and the servant who fought against Ziegfeld before is called Sodlek. Oh, the famous French general, the hero of a nation. Vlad III was obviously interested in Sodlek, who was also a hero of a nation. And he also said he is an additional servant summoned, and he said that after tonight, he will no longer be our enemy. Fried said nervously, What does that mean? Cowles wondered. It seems that Sodlek's identity is a bit special, but in any case, we have to be prepared. Just like that, in the first night of the short confrontation, the black and red sides ended with both sides suffering losses. On the other side, Wu Ming, Jean, and Astolfo brought the android, named Ziegfeld, to a warm-hearted farmer's house. Then, Astolfo, I'll leave Ziegfeld to you. Okay, leave it to me. Astolfo raised his hand and smiled happily. Remember to use the scroll I gave you. It can temporarily block the connection between you and your master, but remember not to get close to your master, or you will be discovered. Yes. Then, Wu Ming looked at Ziegfeld again. Ziegfeld, now is the time for you to think about how to live in the future. After all, you already have the lifespan of a normal person. I don't know. Ziegfeld shook his head. He, who was born as a magic supply, didn't know what to do at the moment. He just wanted to live. Then think about it. No matter what you do, don't go against your heart. Follow the guidance of your heart. Goodbye, Ziegfeld, Astolfo. After that, Wu Ming turned and looked at Jean. The 2 smiled and left side by side. Chapter 64. Wu Ming and Jean walked one after the other on the ground illuminated by the moonlight. Logically speaking, with their intimate relationship, they should be able to talk about everything. However, neither of them spoke at the moment. They just walked quietly and enjoyed a moment of peace. Sodric, what is your wish to participate in the Holy Grail War? After a moment of silence, Jean took the lead to speak. Don't you know me, Jean? I don't have any wish. Wu Ming turned around and smiled at Jean. I came to the Holy Grail War to find you. Is that so? Jean was a little overwhelmed at the moment. Although she was a perfect saintess in front of others, whenever she was alone with her childhood sweetheart, she would become the village girl she was when she was a child. Looking at the confused Jean, Wu Ming smiled and touched her face. I still remember what you said before we were burned to death. Jean froze for a moment, then remembered something. Her cheeks that were touched by Wu Ming became flushed. I. Wu Ming looked at Jean, who was already incoherent, smiled, took her hand, and began to walk forward. While walking, he said, well, I know you want to give everything to the Lord now. No, I don't mean to go back on my words. Jean lowered her voice. If Wu Ming didn't listen carefully, he wouldn't have heard it. So, when you fulfill your promise to me, then you can give your all to the Lord. Jean was a little overwhelmed. She promised Wu Ming to marry her before, but now both of them have become servants, so marriage is impossible. And Wu Ming asked to fulfill his promise before letting her go. That is to say, yes, I decided to hold your hand all the time and not let go. Although Wu Ming was a scumbag when he said that. Thinking about Artoria, Gilgamesh, and Enkidu in the hands of Wu Ming's original body, well, Maeve didn't count. Wu Ming only treated her as a little sister. Yes, she was his younger sister. Actually, Gilgamesh and Enkidu could be considered daughters, and only Artoria could be counted as one. However, because Artoria had become a queen, she could no longer be with Wu Ming. In that case, he wasn't really a scumbag. Wu Ming didn't notice that Jean's gaze on him had changed. Why do I feel like you were a scumbag just now? Alas, the adorable saintess actually called him a scum. Was there a mistake? How could that be? It's wrong to think that way. Jean, by the way, you were summoned by the Holy Grail as a ruler. Is there anything unusual? Wu Ming laughed and changed the topic. Well, I originally thought that you were the anomaly this time, but after meeting you, I found that the anomaly hasn't been solved yet. There are other anomalies in this Holy Grail War. Jean replied seriously. If there really is an abnormality, then I think the Red Party Master is an abnormality. My master and I have met a priest before. He is the supervisor of this Holy Grail War and the Red Party Master. However, whether it is me, my master, or Mordred, we all feel that there is something wrong with that priest. Is that so? Soderlek, where is your master now? I want to ask in person. Jean thought for a while and asked Wu Ming. He is not in Tulifas now. He was entrusted by the Magic Association to deal with the recent serial killings. Wu Ming shook his head. If that's the case, then okay. He will be back in a few days. For now, go on a date with me, Jean, alas. Early the next morning, Wu Ming took Jean, who had changed into casual clothes, to walk around the town. Because Jean was in the form of a physical body, Jean could not spiritualize and had the functions of a normal person, such as eating and sleeping. If Jean did not eat and sleep, it would make her tired, so Wu Ming forced Jean, whose face was red, to stay in a hotel for the night. Of course, they booked 2 rooms. In terms of money, Wu Ming took out a few gold coins and exchanged them for some money. Wu Ming and Jean walked on the street and strolled around casually. Feeling Jean's resentful eyes, Wu Ming smiled. Really, Soderlek, you're making fun of me again. Well, you think too much. Stare dash. Okay. I'll treat you to something to eat. Okay, then I'll forgive you. As expected, Jean is still Jean. She hasn't changed at all. Did you say something? Why would I? Let's go. The taste of this shop is not bad. I've been here with my master before. Then, I'll try the food you recommended, Soderlek. Jean smiled sweetly at Wu Ming. then turned and walked into the shop. Wu Ming froze for a moment, then recovered. He smiled bitterly and shook his head. Really, I was fooled by you, Jean. Wu Ming and Jean had a very pleasant breakfast. During this process, Wu Ming and Jean did not realize that the two of them seemed to have returned to the age of 16 before they joined the army. The two of them were immersed in this happy time. But now it was the time of the Holy Grail War. After a while, Wu Ming received a message from Leo. General, are you in Tulifas now? Yes, what's wrong, Master? The serial killings were done by Black Assassin. We couldn't get rid of him. It seems to be some kind of skill or noble artifact. Saber and I can't remember any information about Black Assassin. We only know that he's Jack the Rifleman. I see. Fog Knight's man, killer fiend. Then I can understand why you can't remember the information. Then, Wu Ming also had a short confrontation with Black's archer and his master. Saber and Black Archer were both injured. The other side retreated. What about Mordred? She's fine, right? After all, Wu Ming and Mordred had some relationship. It's not a big deal. I've already healed Saber. Also, Father Shiro knows that I'm going to launch an attack on Black tonight. We might be late. If possible, help Red. Sorry, Master. I've already found the person I'm looking for. I've decided to stay neutral. Sigh. So sudden. Well, I won't force you. I'll rush back as soon as possible. Then you can enjoy your peaceful days in the modern world. Haha, Master, you're so gentle, but don't worry, I'll try my best not to interfere in the war between Black and Red. Forget it. Do as you please, that's it. Lion Jelly disconnected the communication with Wu Ming. Sodric, are you going to give up on the Holy Grail? Jean asked worriedly. My goal has been achieved, plus I was summoned by cheating. As the ruler, you definitely won't allow me to participate in the Holy Grail War anymore, right? That's true. Looking at Jean's worried expression, Wu Ming took Jean's hand. Let's not worry about that for now. They'll only fight at night anyway. You could just be a village girl and go on a date with me during the day. Wait, just like that. Wu Ming and Jean had a pleasant date. And on the other side, after dinner, Sieg sat in the courtyard in a daze. Yo, what are you thinking about, Sieg? Astolfo jumped out from behind Sieg. Hey, can I sit next to you? Astolfo, who had already sat down, asked. You've already sat down, Sieg said, somewhat at a loss. Sigh. Hee, so what are you worried about? Astolfo smiled awkwardly. I'm thinking about what Sodric said to me. Sieg withdrew his gaze from Astolfo and continued to stare blankly. That sentence, don't go against your heart. Follow the direction your heart points to, Astolfo said with his finger on his cheek. As expected of the general who saved France, then Astolfo smiled sweetly at Sieg. Yes, he's a hero. So what are you thinking, Sieg? Hearing this, Sieg looked at Astolfo, then touched his chest, feeling the beating of his heart. Chapter 65. I want to save my compatriots, those androids. Sieg said seriously. Then let's go. Astolfo smiled and pulled Sieg up. Hey, but you'll be discovered by your master. Sieg didn't want Astolfo to return to his master's side because Astolfo had been complaining about how bad his master was and how perverted he was. It's okay, and I'm still a servant of the black side. Let's go and observe when the red side and the black side start fighting. When the time comes, I'll go and support the black side, and you can go and save your compatriots. What do you think? Sieg looked at Astolfo's smile and couldn't help but smile. Yes, Ryder, I'll leave it to you. Oh, leave it to me. In this way, as if fate was playing tricks on them, when the two saw a huge sky castle fly into the grassland in front of Damarinia's fortress, they decided that the red side and the black side would fight, and they took action. And Wu Ming accompanied Joan of Arc to wait for the beginning of the war. Wu Ming and Joan of Arc stood on the side of the grassland, looking at the huge fortress floating in the air. That's the Sky Garden? Joan of Arc's skill real name Break played a role, and she was surprised to shout out the real name of the noble phantasm. This is really an ill-fated relationship, Wu Ming said. Although it was not from the same period, it was a Babylonian building after all, and Wu Ming couldn't help but feel a little emotional. The red side's master must be there. Let's find a way to enter. Joan of Arc was about to start moving. Wait, Rena. Wu Ming reached out and pulled Joan of Arc's hair braid. Ah! Joan of Arc screamed and knelt on the ground. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Wu Ming looked at Joan of Arc, who was kneeling on the ground with tears in her eyes, and quickly apologized and stretched out his hand to help Joan of Arc up. Really, Wu Ming, you're still so rough. Can't you be gentle? Joan of Arc grabbed Wu Ming's hand and stood up. Cough. Do you have a way to get to the space garden? Wu Ming quickly changed the topic. This. Jean blushed and stopped talking. She was too anxious just now. She didn't even think about how to enter the sky garden in the sky. It's still the same as before. Wu Ming smiled helplessly and took out a wing-shaped pendant from the golden ripples. Here, take this. Wu Ming reached out and handed it to Joan of Arc. After Jean took it, she checked the pendant's effect with true name detection. It can actually allow people to gain the ability to fly, and all they need to do is chant the incantation. Even ordinary people can use it. Jean couldn't believe it. After all, no matter how convenient this kind of magic item was, it would not be separated from magic power. This item could be used by ordinary people without magic power. How could Jean not be surprised? After all, this was a game. There would definitely be items that didn't cost anything. For example, this pendant that allowed players to fly in the game. That was a high-level item that President Anziwagong got at a high price. It didn't cost any magic power or EXP to use. Well, this is one of the treasures that the Mystic Dragon was guarding after I defeated him. Wu Ming used his suppression power to create an interface for him. What about you? Won't you go with me? Jean asked. Well, because there's only one, I won't go. That was the truth. There was only one pendant. Although Wu Ming could use high-level item creation to create another one, Wu Ming still couldn't use that skill because of the restriction of his class. It seems that caster is more suitable for me. Wu Ming thought, well, then I'll go by myself. You be careful. Also, don't participate in the battle between the two sides, understand? Jean said to Wu Ming quite seriously. Yes, my saintess, this one understands. Wu Ming playfully replied to Joan of Arc. Really, Jean's cheeks blushed, and she didn't care about Wu Ming anymore. Wearing the pendant, she said the spell fly that Wu Ming told her, and her body floated. Wow, I'm really flying. After a short adaptation, Jean said to Wu Ming, then I'll go first. Okay, they didn't talk too much because they trusted each other. After watching Jean fly away, Wu Ming said, rather bored. So what should I do now? Watch the battle? With that thought in mind, Wu Ming found a big stone and sat down. Watching the two sides began to march. The soldiers of the red side were the dragon teeth that fell from the sky garden. Except for the head that looked like a broken skull, it was no different from Nazaric skeleton soldiers. Looking at the black side, as Wu Ming expected, it was a large group of androids and golems. Looking at the androids, Wu Ming thought of Sieg again. I don't know how Sieg and Astolfo are doing, but with Sieg's temperament, he might return to Malnia City to save his compatriots. Speaking of Sieg, Wu Ming couldn't help but think of Sieg Fei. Ah, I didn't expect the Dragon Slayer hero Sieg Fei to be such a person. Speaking of which, when I fought with Sieg Fei, I always felt uncomfortable. It felt like I was fighting with my natural enemy. Is it because Sieg Fei is a Dragon Slayer? Wu Ming couldn't help but think of when he fought with Sieg Fei. There was always a special force that passed to Wu Ming. Although it didn't affect Wu Ming much, he still felt uncomfortable. At that moment, a large number of ripples appeared in front of the sky garden, and countless arrows were shot out from it, directly hitting the androids and golems. Is that the red side archer's noble phantasm? Although the damage of each arrow is not high, it's hard to say if it's stacked. Then, a large number of green electric currents hit the arrow formation and scattered it. Is another noble phantasm? Immediately afterward, a large number of iron pillars pierced the corresponding number of Dragon Fong soldiers. That's Vlad III's noble phantasm, right? As expected of the Impaler Duke. Then, Wu Ming found that the Red Side Lancer and Vlad III were fighting. One moment the iron pillars pierced, the next moment the flames danced. Those two were fighting very well. Sure enough, for these heroes, I'm still too inexperienced. Wu Ming couldn't help but think of his master, Ska. Although I didn't fall behind the skills taught by my master, I don't have what a hero should have. It couldn't be helped. Wu Ming, as the root dragon, was born extraordinary. Before the dragon transformation, his skin could be said to be indestructible because of the dragon scales, and after the dragon transformation, he could resist EX-level noble phantasms. He also had almost unlimited mana. In any case, Silent Wonder had never run out of mana. In fact, he had never even used up 1/3 of his mana. The racial characteristic of time and space basically had no effect on Wu Ming, and he could freely travel through time and space tunnels. Furthermore, he had the ability to sublimate a relic. Imagine if Wu Ming could sublimate hundreds or thousands of grade A offensive relic and release his real name at the same time. Since he had sufficient mana, the scene would be inhumane. That was the power of Wu Ming's root dragon when it was still underage. If it was an adult root dragon, it would be unimaginable. At that moment, Wu Ming saw Astolfo riding an eagle on the battlefield. Seeing that he said something to Vlad III, who had just separated from the Red Lancer, Astolfo flew toward the Sky Garden with a happy look on his face. Could it be? Sieg really came back to save those androids? Wu Ming couldn't help but think. Chapter 66. Sieg and Astolfo began to take action after seeing the battle between the two sides. Ryder, be sure to come back safely. Sieg looked at Astolfo and said, Astolfo nodded heavily and then rode the eagle hidden in space. Hippogriff, with the cry of an eagle, a creature with the upper body of a griffin and the lower body of a horse flew over. Astolfo leaped up and landed on the eagle's back. Then, I'll go first. Astolfo waved his hand, and the eagle flapped its wings and flew into the sky. Sieg, on the other hand, went to Malnia Fortress to rescue his compatriots. After seeing Astolfo, Wu Ming realized that Sieg might also go to Malnia Fortress, so he also got up and went. As for what Joan of Arc said about not doing anything to hinder the Holy Grail War, he would do it anyway. Anyway, Joan of Arc would definitely not punish him. Wu Ming thought so and rushed to Malnia Fortress. When he arrived at the gate of the fortress, Wu Ming saw Sieg treating the injured androids. It seemed that the androids were persuaded by Sieg and were constantly treating their companions. Wu Ming stepped forward without hesitation and said, "Yo, Sieg." Sieg heard someone calling him and looked back. "Mr. Solderlake, why are you here?" The rest of the androids picked up their weapons and pointed at Wu Ming. Only then did Sieg remember that Wu Ming was still a Red Team follower. Naturally, his purpose for coming to Black Fortress was different. "Don't worry, I've already left the Holy Grail War, and I won't attack you. Put down your weapons, and even if I want to attack, you can't resist at all." After saying that, Wu Ming also looked at Sieg, asking him to explain. "Everyone, put down your weapons first. Mr. Solderlake has helped me before, and I believe that he will not lie to us." After thinking for a while, the androids put down their weapons. "When I saw Astolfo on the battlefield, I guessed that you would definitely come to rescue your companions. Have you thought about it?" "Yes, thank you very much for what Mr. Solderlake said to me. I have decided to save my companions and give them freedom," Sieg said with a firm look. "Then let's go. In order to prevent the Black followers from obstructing us, I will accompany you." After saying that, he walked into Malnia Fortress from the side door. Yeah, I'll leave it to you." After that, Sieg and the androids followed Wu Ming in. However, speaking of which, is it really a good idea for me to walk into the enemy's base so openly? Wu Ming thought. After Jean wore the pendant Wu Ming gave her, she flew into the sky and went straight to the Sky Garden. However, during this process, a large number of Dragon Teeth soldiers with skeletal wings kept attacking Jean. Bang! Joan of Arc waved the unspread holy flag to disperse the last Dragon Tooth soldier nearby. Looking at the endless stream of Dragon Fang soldiers flying over, Jean couldn't help but be speechless. So many Dragon Teeth soldiers can't get through. Just when Jean was distressed, a revelation came. She saw the Red Master, a man in a priest's outfit, fighting with the black berserker in the nearby forest, and standing next to him was a man in a British green and brown literary costume. That's Red Team's master and caster. After seeing the revelation, Jean did not hesitate to turn and fly in the direction of the forest. Assassin Semiramis, who was controlling the fortress in the Sky Garden, saw that Jean did not hesitate to run in the direction of her master, and immediately contacted the master who was fighting with the red berserker in the forest. Master, the ruler really did not hesitate to rush to your position. Understood. Retreat, caster, Yin Fengshiro said without turning his head. Red caster Shakespeare said with a regretful look. Now is the time to be excited. Do you really want to retreat? Although caster said so, he never had the slightest intention to fight. He just kept writing things, including when Yin Fengshiro was fighting. Yes, retreat immediately. Yes. Caster immediately disappeared in spirit form. Yin Fengshiro took out 4 black keys and threw them in front of the red berserker Frankenstein. The black keys instantly became bigger, blocking Frankenstein's advance, leaving only Frankenstein's roar. After making sure that the red berserker couldn't catch up, Yin Fengshiro ran back. At that moment, Jean was still far away from the forest. Just as Semiramis breathed a sigh of relief, she discovered the servant who came to attack the Sky Garden. Oh, there's a horse that can fly. Semiramis sighed as he looked at the eagle that Astolfo was riding. But in fact, was it really good to call the eagle a horse? Immediately afterward, those dragon-teeth soldiers with wings changed direction and went to attack the black rider Astolfo. Whoa, were these things so disgusting? Astolfo, who was riding the eagle, shouted. Because Astolfo didn't want to do anything, he kept dodging the dragon-teeth soldiers and attacked from time to time. Then he activated his noble phantasm, the declaration of destruction, and defeated all the dragon-teeth soldiers. What? Semiramis was surprised, but she didn't panic. After all, her Sky Garden had more than one way to attack. Just when she wanted to activate her magic cannon, a meteor-like beam of light emerged from Myrenia's fortress, and the stars in the sky contributed their own light and gathered there. Then she found out that the Black Rider hurriedly flew there. At this moment, whether it was the Black Lancer Vlad III and the Red Lancer Karna who were fighting, the Black Berserker Frankenstein who was caught up in the forest because of the Red Caster's noble phantasm, the Red Caster Shakespeare who had retreated back to the Sky Garden, the Lion Giegeli and the Red Saber Mordred who were laid to the edge of the battlefield, the Black Archer Sharon and the Red Rider Achilles who were fighting with each other in another part of the forest, and the Red Archer Atlanta who was pulling the renegade Red Berserker Spartacus. All of them had different reactions. The Black Servant was shocked and quickly retreated to its own fortress, but the Red Servant did not chase after it. Because of some unknown reason, its body was abnormal, so it did not chase after it. Joan of Arc also came to a halt and looked at the incomparably gorgeous light beam. That's Sodric's noble phantasm. Whoa, I told you not to disturb the Holy Grail War. At that moment, Jean complained like a child and then flew there. At that moment, Wuming, the originator of the meteor-like silver-white beam of light, was holding his noble phantasm, X-Silver or Meteor Silver, facing the Black Caster and his puppets who came to capture Sieg. It's really troublesome. I'll blow you away. Black Caster Avisperin didn't seem to panic. It should be said that there was nothing that could make him panic, except for his own wish. If you want to stop me from fulfilling my wish, then try it, Sodric. X, Silver, because of the shout of his real name. The meteor silver that was constantly emitting starlight shone brightly, and as Wuming swung his sword, the attack containing the gathered starlight arrived. Boom! Chapter 67. Previously, when Wuming brought Sieg and a group of androids into the basement to rescue the androids, the Black Caster Avisperin released the traitorous Red Berserker Spartacus and retreated after a brief confrontation with the Red Rider Achilles. On the way back to the magic workshop, he inadvertently discovered the magic of a servant and followed the magic to find him. Then he saw Sieg. Avisprin judged that Sieg's self-consciousness was the core he needed, so he immediately wanted to capture Sieg. Although Wu Ming said that he would not go against the black side, Wu Ming agreed to protect Sieg. Therefore, when Avisprin summoned a large number of golems, Wu Ming directly released his noble artifact, which caused great chaos on the battlefield. After the Patriarch of Eugomarinia, Danica, knew that a servant had broken into his base, he quickly summoned the black side servants who were on the battlefield. It happened that for some reason, the red side servants did not chase after him, but this was a good thing for the black side, so they did not pursue it. At this moment, a large amount of starlight floated in the air. Avisprin was half kneeling on the ground in a sorry state. His clothes were tattered, and the mask he wore was also shattered, revealing his weather-beaten face as he gasped for breath. Because Wu Ming could suppress the power, Sieg and the androids were fine, and the basement where the androids were used as a magic battery was not affected. Only the ground in front of Avisprin was completely exposed, and the golems were all turned into ashes. He didn't die after taking one of my noble artifacts. Is it because of the command charm? I said while holding the meteor silver that still had a little bit of starlight. That's right. Just when the light beam hit Avisprin, Avisprin's master used 3 command charms to strengthen Avisprin's magic, so that he could summon more golems and set up a large number of magic barriers. It was not until Avisprin's magic was almost completely exhausted that Avisprin survived. I'm sorry, Sieg. It seems that we can't save your compatriots now, Wu Ming said apologetically. No, it's okay. Sieg was still immersed in the sea of starlight at this moment, and had not completely recovered. Then hurry up and retreat first. With that, Wu Ming took out another scroll and threw it to Sieg. This is an invisibility scroll that can temporarily block magic perception. You are a magician, so you should be able to use it. Sieg held the scroll, looking at Wu Ming and the androids who were saved by Sieg on the battlefield with worry. We won't save our compatriots for the time being. You should retreat first. The female android who seemed to be the leader said to Sieg expressionlessly. All right, let's hurry up and leave. You'll only drag me down later, Wu Ming said. Yes, please be careful, Mr. Sodlek. With that, Sieg ran towards the other side of the battlefield. Of Avisprin of you, of Avi, of Avisprin of you, of Avispro, and of you. Wu Ming suddenly rushed forward and swung his sword at Avisprin. Clank! 2 iron stakes blocked Wu Ming's sword, making a sound of steel colliding. Wu Ming jumped back, and a large number of iron stakes emerged from the ground where he was originally standing. You're here, Vlad III. How dare you, General Soderlek, France's national salvation. While they were talking, Black Archer Sharon, Black Rider Astolfo, who was riding an eagle, and Black Berserker Frankenstein, who was running over, had all arrived. Except for Black Saber, who chose to commit suicide, and Black Assassin, who was out of control, all the black servants had arrived. And their masters had also gathered in a relatively safe place to watch the scene. I'm sorry, Vlad III. Although I said that I'm not your enemy, I have promised Siegfried to protect the androids. I had no choice but to attack Blackcaster. Although it was an apology, Wu Ming didn't have the slightest intention of self-reflection on his face. Instead, his hand holding the sword was quite eager to fight. I understand you, Sodric. However, it's not right for you to ruin the battle between us and the Red Followers. Well then, sinner who trespassed on my territory, leave your life behind. With Vlad III's order, Berserker Frankenstein, who was the most impatient, took the lead and rushed forward. Frankenstein rushed over, raised his heavy hammer, and smashed it down. Wu Ming held the meteor silver in one hand to block it, and instantly released his magic to bounce it away. Then he quickly jumped back into the air, avoiding the iron stakes that pierced out of the ground, and swung his sword to cut them off. Then his body moved against gravity to the side, avoiding the arrows that were attacking him. Then he met Berserker Frankenstein, who rushed over again. Vlad III didn't have the idea of a one-on-one fight. He followed behind Frankenstein and raised his gun to stab Wu Ming. In this way, Wu Ming dealt with Black Lancer Vlad III and Black Berserker Frankenstein while avoiding or destroying the arrows from the air and the iron stakes piercing out of the ground. Because of Wu Ming's supreme skill, several servants couldn't defeat Wu Ming even if they joined forces. As for Avisprin, he followed Jiroshare back to his magic workshop. After all, his master no longer had the command seal and could no longer impose a compulsory order on him, and his magic was running out. If he didn't think of a way to survive in this world, he wouldn't be able to survive. Are you kidding me? How is this possible? Even 3 servants couldn't take down that French General Sodlek. He shouldn't have such strong martial arts skills. Fiore sat in a wheelchair and covered her mouth in surprise. The servant named Sodric is indeed a bit abnormal, but looking at his ability value, his real name is indeed Sodric. Collins pushed his glasses and said, the master could observe the ability value of his own servant, and naturally, he could also observe the ability value of other servants, but there was not much information about the ability value of other servants. While they were discussing, Black Rider's master yelled at his servant, Astolfo, why don't you go up? Astolfo, show them the power of one of Charlemagne's 12 warriors. Astolfo, who was flying in the air, hesitated and didn't dare to go forward. This is a little bit. Ha, I'm not that good at fighting. Astolfo laughed. Although Astolfo was one of the 12 warriors of Charlemagne, he was the weakest among them. Moreover, Astolfo had always relied on his noble phantasm to fight. It was especially effective when he was fighting against multiple enemies. Give me your noble artifact, illusionary horse of this world, right now. This is not good. Astolfo smiled awkwardly. Do it, or I will use my command seal. Serenica said fiercely. Sigh, there's no other way. Astolfo prayed that Wu Ming would use his noble phantasm. Chapter 68. At that moment, Wu Ming made a feint and pulled away from Frankenstein and Vlad III. Vlad III also stopped Frankenstein, who wanted to continue to attack. It seems that your identity is not simple, Sodric, Vlad III said. Being able to withstand the joint attack of 3 servants was not something a French general should have. I just used the identity of Sodric to summon Saber, but the martial arts of other identities have been deeply engraved in my mind. Wu Ming swung his sword and put the meteor silver into the golden ripples of Dragonist. It seems that I can't take you down today, not someone from Sodric. Vlad III didn't seem to be depressed. You are wrong. I am Sodric, there's no doubt about that. It's just that I have another identity. Wu Ming smiled. Then he looked at the boundless sky. You have to be careful. You have to know that the Red Side's fortress has the Hanging Garden of kamikaze magic. Hanging Garden? Not good. Vlad III also realized something. At this moment, a gigantic sky fortress appeared in the boundless sky above Mylnea Citadel. It was the Hanging Garden with the ability to block detection. The originally flat ground was broken by the powerful suction of the Hanging Garden, and the Great Holy Grail, which was located in the center of the Hanging Garden, also broke out of the ground. What? One of the Black Side Masters exclaimed in surprise. After all, it was too hard to believe that the Red Side's purpose was to directly take away the Great Holy Grail. Well then, you guys go ahead. I'll take my leave first. With that, Wu Ming's spiritual form disappeared. The black servants present, Black Lancer Vlad III, Black Archer Sharon, Black Rider Astolfo, and Black Berserker Frankenstein all followed the boulder and entered the Hanging Garden. At that moment, Jean, who was resisting the explosion of the Red Berserker Spartacus, met Wu Ming, who came out of Mylnea Fortress. Sodric, Jean roared. What? What's wrong, Jahan? Wu Ming was shocked. Didn't I tell you not to act on your own? You have now seriously damaged the Holy Grail War between the Black and Red factions. Jean d'Arc, who is Rule, said, although I don't have your command incantation, the command incantation that belongs to the Red Saber can be used on you, so you'd better stay put. Jean looked at Wu Ming until Wu Ming surrendered. Yes, I know, my saintess, Wu Ming said helplessly. Besides, I was just trying to protect Siegfried. After all, this is the agreement I made with Siegfried, Wu Ming said with an embarrassed smile. Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. You're just looking for fun for yourself and protecting Mr. Sieg, Jean said. Really, you used to be like this too. You always acted on your own. If you didn't act on your own, you wouldn't have been accused of the mystic dragon, Jean said sadly. This was what was recorded in Wuming's history. The adventurous General Sodric was attracted to the Alps by the legend and was ambushed by the British Army. In order to win the war between Britain and France, the British Army found a way to release the mystic dragon, who used to be a member of the Knights of the Round Table. With the help of Sodric's wisdom, Sodric barely defeated the mystic dragon. Jean d'Arc also dared to lead her army. Otherwise, the exhausted Sodric would have been captured by the British Army. Wuming, on the other hand, smiled helplessly. Really, that's because it's convenient for me to use my noble phantasm. The suppression power was given to me in the history. All right, you stay here for now. I'm going to the Sky Garden to question the Red Faction Master. If I find out that you're still running around, I'll definitely use my command incantation. After that, Jean d'Arc activated the pendant and flew into the air, heading toward the Sky Garden. Wuming, on the other hand, smiled helplessly and waved his hand. It's good that you stay here. I still have to help Sieg save those androids. Hey, Villo. Wuming turned his head and saw Gle and Mordred rushing over in a car that was almost scrapped. As soon as the car stopped, Mordred directly kicked the door and walked out. You're really good. You actually broke into the enemy's base camp alone. Mordred smiled as if she was meeting a good friend. She held Wuming's neck and laughed. This made Gle confused. After all, Mordred and Wuming did not get along very well before. They were not friendly. Wuming, on the other hand, saw through Gle's thoughts and said, in the Knights of the Round Table, Mordred is not liked by the other knights. Only I am willing to talk to Mordred. Of course, our relationship is good. Mordred hates me because of the bloodline problem. What did you say? You bastard. Who has a good relationship with you? Mordred, like a tsundere, fiercely punched Wuming. Bloodline? Wuming pressed down on Mordred's fist and continued to speak to Gle. Didn't you notice that Mordred's eyes turn red when she fights? That's because a little of my bloodline is mixed in, causing her eyes to turn red when she fights. Ignoring the noisy Mordred, Gle asked, speaking of which, didn't you not participate in the war between the two sides? Why did you run to the Black Side's base camp to make a ruckus? Wuming smiled awkwardly. Then, Wuming told Gle about his experience after he and Gle separated. So that's how it is. Gle said, it's all because of you. Master, we didn't make it in time for this war. Damn it. Mordred roared at Gle. Gle waved his hand helplessly and ignored Mordred. So what are you going to do now? The Saintess asked you not to run around anymore. Otherwise, should we use the command seal? Gle asked. Now, the Black Side should only have one servant, Castor. I decided to help Sieg rescue those androids first. Then, we will leave first. If the people of the Yugomyrenia family see us, there will be trouble. Gle was about to leave. However, Mordred tugged on the lion Gle's clothes and said, What are you saying, master? Since the other party has entered the Sky Garden, we should also go in. Hey. You can't be serious. That is Assassin's noble phantasm. Is it really okay for us to go in directly? Isn't that good? Let's fight directly. As a king, I will be fine. Mordred laughed. Looking at Mordred, who was spouting nonsense, Wuming laughed. Really, Mordred, you are still so reckless. Yes, you are too reckless. At least, let's find a place to investigate first. What is there to investigate? I hate magicians the most, just like Merlin, that bastard. Anyway, let's leave first. No. Continue to attack the Sky Garden. Looking at the master and servant who were quarreling together, Wuming couldn't help but say, You guys are really good together. After that, Wuming walked toward Myrinia's fortress. Chapter 69. In the end, it was decided that Leo and Mordred would follow the suction force and enter the Sky Garden. Wuming, on the other hand, came to the basement of the androids that acted as batteries. He began to open the incubators one by one to rescue the androids. After a while, Wuming found that someone had come. When he saw the person, Wuming was a little surprised. Sieg, why are you back so soon? Sieg brought some of the androids that he had previously persuaded to the basement. Sigh. Mr. Sodrick, I saw that the Black Side servants had all entered the Sky Fortress, so I sneaked in with the scroll you gave me. After I found them, I came with them. Okay, I won't say anything more. Take it. After that, Wuming threw a bag to Sieg. It was full of recovery potions. Give each of the rescued androids a bottle. It can temporarily restore their physical abilities. Let them come and rescue the other androids. Okay, every time an android was rescued, it was equivalent to having more power. Soon, all the androids were liberated. Wuming said to Sieg, So Sieg, have you really decided to liberate the androids and let them be free? You, who originally needed orders, will no longer be ordered. What purpose do you have to live for? Sieg replied with a firm look in his eyes. Although what you said is indeed the truth, self-awareness should not be needed for us. I don't know if it is the right thing for us to give up our duties, but even if we can't rest in peace in the future, even if there is despair waiting in front of us, we still want to walk our own path. We don't need salvation, we need freedom of choice. So please, Mr. Sodrick. Wuming smiled and said, I will help you. Then he said to Sieg, How about this? I will go with you to negotiate with the Black Side Master. After all, they can't leave here for the time being. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Sodrick. Sieg and the female androids had a simple negotiation and asked her to take the basement with the androids, then followed Wuming's footsteps. With that, Wuming and Sieg walked out of the basement. Speaking of which, you are really courageous. Why didn't Castor come to find you again? He didn't enter the Sky Garden. Sigh. Sieg panicked. Don't worry, I've already heavily injured him. He's either recovering his mana somewhere or has already disappeared. Soon, Wuming and Sieg found the masters of the Black Side gathered together. What? The red team, Saber. Why are you here? Wuming looked at the surprised expressions of the four masters in front of him and asked, Isn't the master of Black Lancer and Black Caster here? Uncle entered the Sky Garden with his servants. I don't know where Rocher and Castor went. The speaker was a woman in a wheelchair. If I remember correctly, you're the master of Black Archer. Yes, thank you for remembering me. My name is Fiore, and I'm the next leader. Don't call me Red Saber. I was summoned by cheating. Just call me Sodrick. All right, Mr. Sodlek. May I know what your intentions are? Wuming looked at the masters who were ready to use the command spell to summon the servants. You don't have to be nervous. I said earlier that I don't want to be enemies with you. If it weren't for Avisperin, I wouldn't have put a noble phantasm in your fortress. What I mean is very simple. What do you want me to do for you to let those androids go? What? What do you mean? Gordon, the master of Sieg, who created those androids, asked. I want to save those androids, my compatriots, Sieg said. Are you kidding me? Astolfo's master, Serenekai, said lightly. It seemed that when she saw Sieg, she went crazy. Are you kidding me? Who will let those androids go? How can I let you go? Serenekai said crazily, ignoring Wuming's presence. He's mine. Astolfo is mine, but he was taken away by you scum. How can I let you go? Serenekai roared at Sieg. By the command spell, Astolfo, return to my side. As Serenekai's hand moved, the command spell disappeared, and Astolfo, who was originally in the Sky Garden, appeared in the storage room by teleportation. Wow, what's going on, Master? Sodrick and Sieg. Astolfo, I command you to kill that android with 2 command spells. What? Astolfo was a little stunned. He had just been summoned, and at this moment his master ordered him to kill the androids he saved. Looking at Astolfo, who was trembling slightly, Serenekai laughed crazily. That's right. I want to watch you kill the people you saved. Watch you fall. You can only be mine. Mine. Ah ha ha. In addition to Wuming and Sieg, the 3 people present, Fiol, Collins, and Golder, all looked at Serenekai in disbelief. That's it. As the voice fell, the blade flashed. Serenekai fell to the ground, her head separated from her body. It's really a servant's misfortune to have a master like you. This just gives me a bargaining chip to negotiate with you. Wuming looked at Astolfo, who was kneeling on the ground and was about to disappear because of the death of his master. Wuming then looked at Sieg. Sieg, you now form a servant contract with Astolfo. What? Fiol and the other two were a little surprised that an android could form a contract with a servant. Don't you have a command spell? Then hurry up. This is your bargaining chip to help your companions. Then, Wuming looked at Fiol, Collins, and Golder. You don't have any objections, right? In response to this semi-threatening inquiry, the three could only say no, please go ahead. Hurry up, Sieg. Do you want to see Astolfo disappear? Then he looked at Fiori, Collins, and Gordon. You guys come out with me. Leave some space for Sieg and Astolfo. Yes. The three replied in panic. Wuming closed the door and waited outside with the three. Excuse me, Mr. Sodrick, who are you? In the face of this question, Wuming did not answer directly. I'm a cheating servant who is summoned together with the Red Saber. My purpose is to meet the ruler, Jean d'Arc. Because I'm a cheating servant, I was asked by the ruler not to interfere with the Holy Grail War. Because I agreed to Siegfried's request before he died, I will protect him. So I didn't interfere with the Holy Grail War. Sieg is the one who interfered. It has nothing to do with me. Wuming finally said like a rascal. And I think when ruler comes down from the Sky Garden later, she will gather the remaining servants to suppress the real offenders. So we will probably be comrades later. This made the three people not dare to flatter him. As for the problem of me killing that woman, first of all, you guys attacked the people I wanted to protect. It's good that I didn't kill all of you, and I believe that you guys don't want to make a scene like that, wasting 3 command spells because of a personal grudge. In a way, I've helped you. The 3 people expressed that they had never seen such a shameless person. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.